Yo, 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 what's up and welcome back to the Marvel's Chats podcast. My name is Finto. If you're new to the channel, please click like and subscribe. Tonight on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the finale and the entire season of Hawkeye. Maybe a bit of prep for Boba Fett this week and some other news. Tonight on the podcast, we got Hoffman, we got Zaber Wolf, and we might be joined by Kyle Crunk as well. I don't know. He might be running a little late. Or he may not show. I don't know. Let's find out. Gonna bring the guys in now in 1 second. Gotta pop a window out. Everybody say hi to the guys. Give them a warm welcome. Let's get it. Yo, gentlemen. Hello, hello.
What's going
on?
What's happening, guys?
Happy holidays, sir.
Happy holidays to you.
Yeah, happy holidays and a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. Did you have a good one?
Yeah.
I no longer celebrate Christmas anymore because COVID has taken all the jolly spirit away from me. So I just sat here at my place by myself being sick. So,
do you have COVID as well? Like, did you test?
I didn't test, but I had like the telltale signs, like very mild, a little bit nausea, a little bit scratchy throat or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'll stay away from the family. The lines here where I am. They have sold out of all the tests in like the CVS's, Walgreens, kind of like the pharmacies around here.
Yeah.
And then the line to go get tested, they were clocking it at like 4 hours to wait to get tested. So I was like, I'll just,
You just lay low.
Let's just say I have it. Let's just say I have it. Whatever.
I think.
Yeah, just mark it down.
Just from the experience that I had, I think if you had it, you would know. To be honest, because it hit me like a full-blown flu where I had like a kind of scratchy throat and a cough, and didn't think anything of it because I usually get coughs around this time of the year anyway, and then just hit me like a ton of bricks. I woke up in the middle of the night, fever dreams, all this crazy shit, and then body started to shut down, like just fevers, sweats, shivers, the whole lot. Proper just flu symptoms, and
I must have gotten lucky because in January I had gotten it and it was just cold symptoms.
Yeah.
So just runny nose, sore throat, just feeling exhausted, and that was it.
Yeah, I was really exhausted for probably about 5 days. Like I was sleeping 14 hours a day for like 5 days straight. It was crazy, dude. Like crazy. I was going to bed at a reasonable hour and still waking up at midday the next day. Like I was just unconscious to the world, like gone.
Yeah.
Ebus.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I'm older than you two. I just run at a constant exhaustion my entire day. So I don't know if that's a symptom or not. I got COVID or I'm a boomer. It's one or the other.
That's why you always get your morning coffee.
Yes.
I haven't drank a G Fuel in about 2.5 weeks. And like I don't drink coffee. Like I drink tea, but I don't know, the like caffeine content is pretty high on tea, but it's not the same as coffee like at all. Like there's no kind of like I don't feel that there's like a lot of people, I'm not going to say addicted, but a lot of people wake up and they can't do anything in the morning before they have their coffee and stuff. Like I don't feel that tea is the same thing. It doesn't do that. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't had any G Fuel. Usually, like if I'm planning a kind of sweaty stream, I'll drink a G Fuel. Like if I played something like a BR or something like that, like I'll crack a G Fuel. But I haven't had a need to in a while now. So. And as well, I haven't been training, so I haven't like needed it. Like I'll usually drink a G Fuel before I go to the gym or something. So I've just been, like I left my house for the first time today in 10 days, and it was just insane. I was just like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like I was like, this is crazy. I could just jump in my car and go anywhere. Like I still felt I felt a bit weird. Like I had to walk into like a supermarket, just to pick up some stuff for the house, and I was just like, I feel weird, like because I just know I'm only just out of it, like And I don't know, it felt strange.
Do you feel any different with your system now, or?
No, to be honest, I think I got like lucky because you hear all the horror stories of people having like who may have like pre-existing conditions that they might not even know about, and then they're stuck with stuff now for the rest of their lives. Like I know there's people like developing diabetes from it and stuff like that. Like, and to be honest, I think I kind of just had a really bad flu and just kind of, yeah, I was just hibernating for 10 days. I think that was kind of the gist of it, really.
I'm glad you both are feeling much better.
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to my parents as well. Like, to be fair to them, they were amazing. Like, they brought up all these like trays of food to us on Christmas Day, and I felt so bad because we were the only guests in their house for dinner this year. Like, so it ruined their Christmas, and they're both healthy, you know. So I felt really shit about that. But I suppose there's nothing I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm going down to them tomorrow. I'm gonna have a kind of Christmas dinner with them tomorrow, so it should be good. How was your holiday, Alex?
It was great. The only thing that I didn't get was some eggnog. I tried to run to the store, and they were just completely out. And I was like, "Come on, man! I got to get my eggnog fix in before Christmas, because this was Christmas Eve." And I'm like, "I got to get this stuff going." But the next day, I had never had like a large family gathering, and with my girlfriend's family, they do like the whole shebang. They sit around, they pick out presents and have everyone unwrap them, and then we go sit down. We have breakfast, we have lunch, we have dinner, and like just sit around and just be merry.
Yeah, oh, that's great, dude. I love it. I love just like watching crappy movies and just eating loads of like really shit food. It's just like a pig out week. Like, you know, we try like clear the stuff out of the house, and I'm like, okay, that's it now. Now I'm gonna go back to the gym and, you know, all this stuff. But like for days, like on the lead up to Christmas, like I'm just eating nothing but like Doritos and everything, like going all out. Like I don't give a shit. Like
the past few days was.
Oh, yeah.
The past few days was nachos
for the holidays.
Oh, bro, Pringles, like chocolates and everything. Like it's just there's shit everywhere. It's crazy. I think everyone just kind of they switch off for a few days, especially here. Like, you know, like I don't really drink too much over the Christmas because usually I'm driving, so I don't really drink that much. But, you know, I know people that would just, you know, be drinking for days straight. Like they'll start drinking on Christmas Day, and then they'll be drinking on the 26th, Stevens's Day, as we call it. You know, like just on and on, like, you know. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm a bit of a drinker myself. Really laying off it this year, but normally it is like the holidays, it hits. Alex has eggnog, you know what I mean? Like we make eggnog around the house, like from scratch, and just like load it with booze.
Yeah.
And are drinking it throughout the holidays, all the way up until New Year's, and then it's like you're done. Like, you're done for like a couple of months until it's like St. Patrick's Day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we don't do the eggnog thing here. It's not a thing over here.
Let's start it.
Yeah, why not?
You deserve some eggnog in your life.
I've never had it.
It's really good.
Right?
I've never had it before. I don't know what it. Like,
Oh, it's so good, man.
like when you say you're like loading it with booze, like are you putting like whiskey in it, like or like?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I put
yeah.
whiskey and rum in mine.
Nice. So it's just like, I don't even know what it would taste like.
Kind of like a milkshake, right? Kind of milkshakey. It's just egg, cream, and milk with like sugar and like nutmeg and stuff, like spices.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty frothy.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to try it. I think I might maybe next year I might try and like do a homemade one or something. I'll get onto you, Hoffman, for like a recipe or something like that and try and make some.
We're actually about to make some eggnog cookies.
Ooh.
So I can't wait to try those out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Guys, what do we want to talk about? I know we got to talk about Hawkeye, and we got to talk about like the finale first, because we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week just with everything going on. I suppose that's the best place to start. We'll dip into the kind of the last episode, and then maybe talk about just the series as an entirety.
Sure, I'm down.
Yeah. Let's do a little round table. What do we think? Finale out of 10? Hoff?
Finale, dude, I'm going like a low 8, maybe like dipping down in the 7s. You know, for a series that was overall just so fantastic, I felt like the finale was just a little bit weak. I didn't really get the like really satisfying resolutions to all like the plot lines going throughout it. Like they kind of wrapped up everything, but I felt things were like kind of, you know, cut a little short.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that they'd been, you know, Hawkeye had been talking up Kingpin this entire time, and then we never get a scene between Hawkeye and Kingpin, right? Like, I don't think I'm crazy. I don't remember a scene between just those two,
No.
and that's kind of weird for him, like building up like the big guy. He said his name like 3 times without saying it.
Yeah.
And then we never got that scene.
He never even did he even say his name? Did like Kingpin even say like Barton or Hawkeye or anything? I don't even think he mentioned.
Not at all.
Nothing. Not even a word. Not even a word, dude. Which was very strange. You know, I would have loved to have heard him talk about, like, I think, did he mention something about an Avenger? I think he said something like that, like, and if there's an Avenger in our business or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
He was talking about all the misfortunes that were happening.
Yeah. I haven't really read. He's been quite vocal. Vincent D'Onofrio's been quite vocal online, kind of talking in interviews and stuff about, you know, what was going on with Kingpin's like organization during the blip and stuff. Like, so to me, he seems very invested in the role and where it's going, and that gives me hope. But I got to agree with what you're saying. The finale was about a 7.5 for me, like maybe even a 7. Like, I was really disappointed with it, and I kind of knew this going in, because I think I said this on the previous podcast. We had so much footage that we hadn't seen from all the trailers yet. So I'm thinking, right, we've got all this unseen stuff. We've got the Watch. We've got Echo. We've got Kingpin's been built up for so long, and we haven't seen anything about him. We haven't, like, he hasn't said a word on screen. And like the Kingpin scenes were cool. Like, I liked them. They were good. And like the whole, when he was like throwing Kate Bishop around and all, I was like, this is great. You know?
That's Kingpin.
Yeah. I was like, he's just like a savage, like, you know, he's just throwing her around. And I was watching New Rockstars kind of break it down, the start of the episode and stuff, and how they kind of, and I kind of knew that they were going to do this, like, but like, you know, the way they were shooting downwards going up for Kingpin to make him look like a giant, and they were shooting down on Vera to make her look really small. You know, it's classic tricks, like, but you know, it just, they made him look grand without doing. I was really scared because a lot of the leaks and stuff were talking about how they were CGIing him to make him look like thick boy fucking Kingpin, and I was kind of scared because I'm like, this could look ridiculous, like, you know. And I think, to be fair, he kind of looked very much similar to what he looked like on Daredevil, and I was happy about that. Yeah, I don't know, like, I was just kind of, I was hoping for a little more. But like, all in all, the series was great. I enjoyed it. But I just think that it could have been a bit better. You know, like especially the last episode. What did you think, Alex?
I thought it was pretty good. I would say I actually give it a 7. I felt like a lot of it was, you know, it was cut content that we're missing. There's some scenes that were probably changed, like they probably had to do a lot of reshoots because of all the things that they're going to be doing in the future. And because it's only 6 episodes, they had to, like, they realized that they had to scrunch it down and do crunch time and just like kind of rush it. And it just, everything felt rushed. Like, everything got resolved, but so quickly that you didn't even get a chance to, like, you know, it's like taste it in your mouth and be like, you know, this is good stuff, or you know, it's just like, oh, next thing. And some of the characters, you know, they didn't really get their justice in, like Kazi. Kazi was apparently like a very silly person in the comics, and you know, he was actually like, you know, messing with Clint, you know, taunting him and whatnot, and like trying to act like the big guy. And in this one, they kind of made him feel a little more like, oh, this was supposed to be my thing. It's supposed to be my moment. And it was just like, dude, like, you barely showed up every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, this is all, you know, Echo. This was Kate Bishop, and it was Hawkeye. And at the end with Kingpin, I would say I really did like all of that, but I do have to agree with Hoffman that there should have been much more. There should have been, like, I would have been happy with the 7th episode, but because this is a Christmas special type show, they had to just crunch it down, and it just didn't feel ready. Although I did like Yelena. Like, Yelena
she was good.
So fun. Yeah.
She's great.
And I love her as her own, like, I think I've said it previously, I love her as her own Black Widow. You know, she's not the serious type. She's not, you know, necessarily, you know, cold-blooded and whatnot. She's still very lighthearted towards Kate Bishop because she doesn't want to hurt her, even though she said she would if she got in her way. And you really just felt like this moment of, like, they kind of like each other. And that's what I thought was really really impactful during that whole spiel. But like, and then the swordsman, like we got a glimpse.
Dude, like how good is the swordsman? Everyone else, like during the scene where they're fighting the tracksuit mafia, they're all just like beating them up. And then Jack just comes out as a swordsman. He's just like straight murking everyone. Like he's just stabbing people. Like whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't know where they can use him in the MCU because he's such a goofy character.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love him. Like I want him to come back. Like I want to see him in more stuff because I love his character. And I also think, like you said, Yelena, like her as Black Widow, they're definitely like building up that Hawkeye Black Widow connection so they can like keep that in the future for them to be working together. I still think that she has a lot of like Gru energy from Despicable Me. I can't get that out of my head. But I really love her. She seems like she's better than Natasha Romanoff as like a fighter. Like she seems like she's way more like precise. Maybe she's like it's because she plays it so goofy that when she does like get very precise and gets in that role, like she feels a lot better. I don't know. There's something about her character I love. Yeah. I'm really happy with that character and where it's going, man. It's a great Black Widow character.
She's like really goofy, but at the same time, she's lethal. So it's like, she's there to have fun, but she'll break your neck. Like, and I think that's really compelling, like, because, you're going to get comedy out of her, but at the same time, I love the line from the previous episode where she was like, I would have killed you one step in your front door if I wanted to, and it's like, you believe it, like, you're like, shit, yeah, she could, like, but she's just sitting there eating macaroni out of a pot, like, so it's like, it's really funny, but it's really serious as well, which I like. Yeah, I don't know, like, how I like the character of the swordsman. I kind of thought like him like standing out in the streets like slaying people with a sword. I just thought was a bit mental. Like I was trying to think of it. Like I was thinking of it too much in like the real world. I was like, if like an NYPD guy saw him doing that, he'd just fucking take his head off. Like like there's a guy gone wild with a sword on the streets. Like we gotta kill him. Like but it just worked. Like but I don't know. Like I think it's I think like there was so much going on in that last fight that there was too much going on, and I think it kind of diluted everything in its entirety because like we had like the whole kind of Black Widow movie leading into this show is all about Yelena trying to kill Clint, and that fight was kind of happening in the background. That wasn't like the kind of focus of the scene because we had like the tracksuits and Jack with the sword and everything, and like Kate Bishop as well trying to fight off tracksuit and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just I think if we had more time, if we had more to like, we would have got a proper showdown between Yelena and Clint, and it would have had like proper effect rather than them just kind of throwing a few punches at each other on the ice and then kind of oh, I didn't kill her. It was nice to finally meet you, and it was like kind of just like so anticlimactic. I thought. I don't know. Go on.
That whistle was a nice touch, but like it just that was like, okay, I'm ending this by just whistling now. And like
I had a feeling I did have a feeling that was going to be the case, that he did know her. I think I spoke about this previously, and you guys had said, no, I don't think he knows who she is. I was like, I guarantee you, because that's the kind of way that they portrayed Nat and Clint, that they told each other everything. So I wasn't shocked when I saw it. Like he did the whistle and stuff like that. It's like, oh, she never stopped talking about you and stuff like so. I don't know, that kind of like, it kind of makes everything that Natasha did, her whole sacrifice and everything, kind of hits a little harder, I suppose, now. I don't know, maybe the next time you watch Endgame, it might be, you might feel a bit more for Natasha. I don't know, but
yeah,
and the watch, bro, the watch. The watch.
Like
I know when he whistled real quick. Like when he whistled, I thought that someone was whistling off screen. I didn't realize it was Clint at first. I was like, is Natasha showing up?
Oh my god.
Oh, I got thrown off at it. They really didn't do anything with the watch. Like what a terrible MacGuffin of an item. Like just to like show, oh yeah, this was your wife's watch when she was an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Like that, like big deal. Like why did they show the watch doing something that like it really needed to be like taken away and like taken off the field, so to speak? And they don't even show him grabbing it. He just like, it's like they were right in the final scene. They're like, oh yeah, fuck, we forgot about the watch.
There's that watch that we made up such a fucking big deal about the first two episodes. Here it is. Now, I did do a bit of digging into it, and I know that there was a 19 underneath the shield icon, which apparently is Mockingbird's like ID number or whatever. So she was like the 19th Agent of Shield or something. So they have confirmed that she is Mockingbird. But again,
Yeah.
it's like a big reveal, and it just it was nothing. It led to nothing. Like, you know, it led to people having to do a bit of googling if they were smart enough to cop on that. Oh yeah, okay, this is an Agent of Shield logo, and the number 19. Oh, what does that mean? Like, you know. So it's like they didn't give any payoff to like normal fans. They kind of just wanted the diehards to go and do a bit of research if they didn't know it already, which we had already been speaking about it. We already knew it.
Yeah. The only realization for that though, Finto, is that since Laura Barton is Mockingbird, that means that Agents of Shield is no longer canon.
Nice.
That's
because
I suppose because she is Bobby. Like, she is actually Bobby. Yeah. So. Yeah, like I think that was kind of the, like, Kevin Feige was trying to retcon that show anyway because he had no involvement in it. So,
right,
you know. But I'm curious if they bring back Coulson, like, because then it's like, how do they explain the whole thing with Coulson, like, you know, because he's been around the whole time.
The only thing I would say that kind of like conflicts with that, as well as that during Age of Ultron, there's speculation that Coulson was the one that gave them like the mission when they were out in the snow.
That's what happens in the show. That leads to Age of Ultron. So whatever Feige wants to say about them not being canon, like, it was canon at one point. Like, there's no debating it. Like, it was 100% was. Fucking, like, Samuel L. Jackson is in episode 2 of the show. Like, you know, he shows up, like, he gives them their Quinjet. Like, you know, it definitely was canon, but they're trying to distance themselves from it. But I did hear rumors that your one who played Quake was coming into the MCU. So, like, she was part of that Powerpuff Girls movie or some shit, and she left that, and apparently the reason was because she got the call to come back to the MCU for her role as Quake. So, I don't know. I think it's very up in the air.
Yeah.
Very up in the air.
Definitely.
Now, I don't know if Agents of Shield, if like Multiverse of Madness, because every episode of the podcast now is going to be speculating on Multiverse of Madness for the next while, because it's all going to be intertwined, interconnected, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they do it. If that's how they kind of retcon the parts they don't like, but, you know, maybe bring across a character or two. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
That could work, because there's probably some characters that people liked, and they don't want to just outright get rid of all of them. And people loved Coulson, so if there's a way to bring back Coulson without him being crazy, though, like, or having, you know, this PTSD type, you know, attitude,
it kind of makes sense. His story would kind of make sense now as well, because it was like he was revived with Kree blood, and with the whole Marvels thing and stuff, like, you know, it kind of would fit if he came back now, and they'd be like, oh, where have you been, or whatever, and he'd be like, you know, he could mention the Kree and all that sort of shit, and it would kind of make sense, like, to where they are right now. I don't know.
I mean, they could basically just say that Coulson was like deep space somewhere, like working for Shield off-world, doing something, making connections. Like, they could easily roll him in anywhere if they really wanted to bring him back.
Yeah.
I don't think there's like a huge need to bring him back, though, because I feel like the character that he plays is already filled by a couple of different other characters. Like, we now have Happy, who is like a connection between a bunch of different franchises in the MCU. Also, like, the FBI guy, I forget his name, but the Asian guy, like, he's a connector between a few different planes. Like, I think they have that role filled, and so, like, I would love it because he's fun to have around.
Yeah,
but like, bringing him back just kind of takes away from the scene from the Avengers. You know, it just kind of lessens that a little bit. And I don't think they need to do that.
Right. Yeah. And I love Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo.
Yeah. Jimmy Woo is so funny.
I think it could be an interesting scene if they were to bring him back, like, around Loki, because Loki was the one who killed him, you know? That could be kind of like, what the fuck? There could be like a what the fuck moment. But, like, if you could think about it, like, Coulson's kind of his death and, you know, his kind of avenge scenes were all done with people who aren't in the MCU anymore. You know, the original team is pretty much dispatched at this stage, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no real kind of wow factor to him just kind of bursting into a room because Steve's gone, Tony's gone, all the people that cared about his death are, like, gone, you know. Natasha, Thor's off world, you know, who cares, like, you know. So, like, Sam Wilson's gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy, like, you know?
Well, then it looks like maybe they'll use the characters that we're establishing right now, like Laura Barton. We're probably going to see them in Secret Invasion because she's, of course, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, of course, we got to see Maria Hill again. I really liked Maria Hill, and the the moments that she had, especially with Fury. And, I can't wait to see, the Shield agents come back. Well, they're Sword now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Sword up in space. Yeah, I don't know, bro. I would love that. One thing I think was missing in this entire series too is I don't think they beat up Hawkeye enough. I feel like this whole show is about retiring Hawkeye kind of a little bit, right? Like at the very end, it's like he says, "You can have my name."
Yeah.
He's been trying to retire for the past like decade, anyways, right? Like he just wants to live on his farm with his family.
Yeah.
And I feel like they really pulled their punches and didn't go far enough, kind of like, decommissioning Hawkeye. In the comic books, I know I've never read it, but there's a scene where Kami takes the 2 arrows, sticks them in Hawkeye's ears, and makes him like fully deaf, like just bam. And I don't know if they want to get that gruesome in the MCU, but they definitely could do stuff where like Hawkeye really was sacrificing himself, like in his body, like maybe breaking his arm and back and stuff to like help out and save Kate Bishop, and that would be a reason for him to kind of step down and not really ever be able to come back because he's just too beat up. He's broken. He fully sacrificed himself and his body for being a hero, and kind of like tie that theme from like the early episodes, which I thought were doing great. And then it's kind of like they just forget about him having hearing problems. Like 2 episodes ago, they were like, whatever, he can hear perfect now, and it's no big deal. They might have a dialogue, like a line here or there, but they never really used it as a plot element after a certain point. I really wish they would just carry down that theme where it's like, this is the cost of being a hero when you don't have superpowers. And Kate Bishop could have been seeing Hawkeye get beat up like that and still want to be a hero, even though she knows that one day she'll probably pay the same kind of cost. I think they could have like had that more in the show, and it probably would have resonated more for me. Because as it is, just like, like, all right, like what really changed in this? Like, we have Kate Bishop, as Hawkeye now. Like, that's great. Yelena and Clint are, good, but I don't know, bro. It's just, I wish there was more of a cost and more of an impact going forward than just like passing the mantle.
Yeah, it really could have been like like at the end of Die Hard where his feet are just torn asunder from like all the running around, and then just have that Danny Glover moment of like, I'm getting too old for this shit. And then, Kate's like, I got this. I'll handle it. And I would have totally loved that. But like they did walk away, like I would say relatively unscathed. Like they just got tossed around and it just wasn't believable. It was just like, oh, okay, so the heroes are just straight up going to win. Even though Kingpin was supposed to be like a massive kind of like, I will beat the crap out of you with my fist kind of moment. I would have at least loved to see, Kate maybe have her leg broken just to show like how vicious he can be, no matter to whom. And but I did love all of the setups though. Like I did love all the trick arrows. I really enjoyed that fight with Kingpin, and the fact that Kate is learning a lot from Clint because she's aware of her surroundings. She uses like the cufflink to set off the trap.
Yeah, that was cool.
Clint. And then when you get that one moment of like, oh, I better ask Scott about this Pym tech. And
Yeah,
I was
cool.
like, oh my God, I would love to see that again.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, he was using Stark Tech as well for the arrows. Did you see that? That was cool.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene. Speaking of that cufflink real quick, apparently that's like a cufflink that he had worn in the Daredevil series.
That's the main one, yeah. That was the one that the ones his father handed down to him. They were the only ones he wore on the show.
Right. I wish they would have confirmed that he was like the Kingpin from that universe, or like the same as that character a little bit more than that. Because I, haven't watched Daredevil in a while. So I walked away from the show being like, is that Kingpin from Netflix series? Like, is it confirmed, or is it, it wasn't until I seen the YouTube videos later, people like pointing that out. I was just like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have done something, maybe him just staring at a blank wall for a little bit to make him really feel like, like this is the Kingpin from the Netflix series. This is the Daredevil, because it, even though it's answered now at this point because of the cufflink, it still feels like it's unanswered.
Is it? Yeah, like I was about to say, is it actually answered? Because I don't think it is. Because I don't like, from what my understanding of what Kevin Feige was saying was that the show, like the Netflix universe is not the same. Like it is a slightly different universe. So we're using the same characters, but they're going to have different suits. They're going to have different powers. You can see like Kingpin's more of juiced up, like he's throwing people around and through walls and shit. And like Daredevil has been confirmed to be more powerful in the MCU as well, like, and as we saw with the brick catch as well, you know. So I don't think that they're the same people, but I think that they're basically the same. So it's you know, it's Earth 616 and 615 or something like that. Like, you know, like they're basically the same, but they're just like a slight bit different. Their origins are like just going to be a slight bit different. Like from what I've heard is, you know, we're going to get potentially Daredevil in She-Hulk, or Daredevil definitely in Echo, but I think we're going to actually get Daredevil in She-Hulk as well. And he's going to have a yellow and black suit. Like, it's not going to be the Netflix suit, which is going to, and he's going to be stronger. Because if you think about it, he needs to be stronger if he's going to be fucking around with Spider-Man and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he can't just be the Daredevil Matt Murdock, because, do you know what I mean? Matt Murdock was getting fucked up by street thugs constantly in that Netflix show. And it was entertaining as fuck to watch. I loved every minute of it. But at the same time, like, you can't have him going up against that Kingpin. You know what I mean? Yeah. He'll just kill him. He'll just break every bone in his body.
That's where She-Hulk comes in.
Yeah.
She gives him a good one, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think, you know, it has opened up a lot of doors. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people thinking that, like, you know, Kingpin definitely survived the gunshot. Maybe he might lose his eyesight or something. I think that's one of the storylines. He goes blind for a while. So I think that's probably where we'll see him. A lot of people are kind of saying, I've been looking online, a lot of people, like, you know, couple of like the scooper sites and stuff are saying that, like, you know, he might be the next big bad. I don't think he will be. Like, not on like a Thanos level or anything like that. But I think he's gonna have his hands in so much stuff that, like, he will kind of be a big bad, but people won't be making the connections, like, you know. Like, he'll be he'll be obviously in the Echo show. He'll be in like probably She-Hulk as well. Definitely one of the next Spider-Man movies. Somewhere in the trilogy there, you know. But I just don't think that they're all going to actually be trying to fight him at the same time. It's not going to be like an Avengers taking down Kingpin. It's going to be them all having their own missions, I think, you know. So technically, yes,
but a street level big bad.
Yeah, he'll be
yeah,
kind of the way he's always been. Like, even like Clint talking about him, you know, obviously he's like, this is the guy we don't want to involve. And the fact that he's been in the MCU like since 2007, we can confirm, or obviously way before that. He didn't just build the Empire in a year. So it's like he's been around the entire time. So, you know, and we haven't heard about him yet, and we're 13 years into it. So, yeah. You know, yeah, I'm interested. There's a lot going on. I don't know what to expect with the whole Mockingbird thing. You know, kind of anticlimactic at the moment, but that could lead to something really great. I can't imagine her being in the show, like being in a movie or in a TV show anywhere without Clint. You know, so if they are going to do something with her, I presume that means Clint will be attached as well. I don't know, like, do we know anything about Jeremy Renner? Like, has he signed on for any more? Like, has he talked about? I haven't seen him speak about anything about, like, you know, his future in the MCU or anything like that.
Nothing at the moment.
There was an interview like a month ago, maybe, where he talked about like wanting to take on, like, and why wouldn't you say this? Is like a more leadership role in the Avengers. Yeah. More of like a Captain America role, where, and maybe, you know, like where he's more of a leader. You know, he's not just, you know, the dude in the back, because like he is kind of a tactician, right? Like, he's the eye in the sky. He can see everything. Yeah. And so I could see him fit in that role, but I would like to see Jeremy Renner personally move into more of a like a Nick Fury role.
Thunderbolts or something like that.
Yeah, like where he's just, you know, he's an older dude. He can't, you know, he can't fight like he used to, so he hangs back. He's more of like an organizer and puts people together and puts missions together for people. I totally can see that, because I love Jeremy Renner. I'm watching Mayor of Kingston right now on I don't know, Apple TV or something. And I think he's so much better in that show than he has been in the entire MCU. Like, they need that Jeremy Renner. Like, they need to like figure out how to get his acting ability into the MCU more, because like it just he is not highlighted the way he should be.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, some possibilities for that could be, you know, the Secret Avengers, West Coast Avengers, Agents of Wakanda, because I know that we're, you know, going to get into Black Panther territory again very soon. Especially, well, maybe not with the Dora Milaje. I would love to see maybe they get involved with the Dora Milaje and help them out with certain things, especially if they're like in going into the US and looking for something in particular, because I don't think we're going to be stuck in Wakanda with the Dora Milaje going around.
Yeah. Well,
there's no way that movie's coming out this year. There's
Yeah.
no way.
I would
No.
be so shocked if it did.
Yeah,
so shocked.
Like I don't even think it has a month release date. I think they just said 2020, right, or 2022 release date at some point.
July or something like that. Summer 2022.
Oh,
There's
man.
no way.
No, sure. Like they're doing 6 months. They did 6 weeks of reshoots for Doctor Strange 2, and there's no controversy with that at the moment. So like this is just, it's a shitstorm. Like, you know, I don't know. Like I don't know what to expect. Yeah, I'm really, I'd be very worried if I was like the likes of Kevin Feige and stuff like that, because it's such a critical movie, such a critical sequel, you know,
Yeah. Mhm.
to Phase 4. Oh man, it scares me to think about what could potentially be coming there.
Moving into, like, not moving on yet, but I wanted to ask about the Larpers and Yelena before we move on. So let's start with the Larpers. What do you guys think about it overall? I actually really enjoyed them and thought that they could have used just a slight touch more screen time, especially with their outfits at the end of it. I think that would have been really fun to see.
I wasn't a fan of that, if I'm being very honest. I liked the whole LARPing scene in the second episode or whatever. Thought it was hilarious. I then thought the LARPers were like too involved. You know, I understand them making the suits and stuff like that, but like, you know, like the fireman guy, like being like waiting tables, like, you know, undercover working with Hawkeye and stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm like, this is a bit weird. Now I know they're like, you know, they're, you know, cops and stuff like that. Like, but I don't know. And then I thought that was kind of a bit far fetched that they would be that involved in like Avenger business, and then to at the very end be like, oh, we need to put our costumes on. It's the only way people will listen. And then it's like they come out and they all look stupid as fuck, and they're like directing people around. I don't know. I just thought that was outrageous. Like, if someone came up to me dressed like that, I would actually just tell them to fuck off. Like, I'd listen to a cop more than I'd listen to a guy in a LARPing uniform during a fucking, like, crisis, like, telling me to, you know, hey, step over here, sir. I'd be like, who the fuck are you? Like,
Yeah. You know, it felt like one of those just weird, goofy scenes, like, straight out of a comic book. Because that would never, like, it doesn't even seem like it's based in the reality of that show, right? That would happen.
yeah.
But I enjoy it. I laugh at it, but you know, overall, I feel like it kind of takes away from the seriousness of what's going on, right?
Exactly.
It's like this is like Hawkeye's moment. It's like, oh, here's some LARPers.
Yeah.
So it's like, but like Pinto said, I'd rather listen to a cop. Where the fuck were the cops this entire time?
True.
They're in Rockefeller Center in the middle of New York, and there's like not a cop to be seen throughout this entire thing, man.
They should have been swarming.
I really thought they were hinting at a little Spider-Man crossover there at the end, because like how No Way Home ended, with him like swinging by Rockefeller Center and the tree and everything at the very end, and I was like, oh shit, this could actually, like, you know, you could have him like swinging by and maybe dropping in to kind of help Kate or something like that. Like, something like that would have just been so fucking sweet. Like, you know, you don't even need Tom Holland for it. Like, you know, you just reuse a line of like that he definitely has said the words over the movies, like, that you would need to just, hey, yeah, no problem, yeah, happy to help, and then just him swinging off or whatever. Because no one knows who he is anymore, so, you know what I mean? You know, he's not going to take his mask off. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to anybody. So it would have just been such a fucking simple little win, and it would have drove everybody insane during that last episode if you just had him swing by. Would have been crazy.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like, he's just hanging out in the background, like upside down, watching Hawkeye fight. Like, he knows he doesn't have to get involved. He, like, Hawkeye's got it, but he's just watching it.
Eating a churro or something, just watching it.
And I don't know when that last scene, like the day it takes place in No Way Home, but it really makes it seem like No Way Home takes place like a year before Hawkeye now, which I thought they kind of took place in the same year. But now we know that, you know, they're building this statue or adding the shield to the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
It's completed in Hawkeye, right? Because she says,
I want to go see
Elena
it.
mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and you know, they knock over the goddamn tree in this movie.
True.
Or in this TV show. So like it's still like it feels like No Way Home's like a year before this almost.
Yeah, or a year after. You wouldn't know.
What? Yeah.
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 I gotta say as well, I gotta talk about the after credit scene was the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. It was just
Oh no, I loved it.
I hated it. I
I
hated it.
loved it.
I hated it, dude. Like you're
I
at
was
the,
laughing.
you're at the end of a show. Give me something juicy, like, you know, give me something worthwhile.
Give me the Daredevil cameo, baby.
Anything,
like, give me the
like-
fucking scene, bro.
How funny would that have been actually if it like panned out to the crowd and Matt Murdock is sitting there like listening to it. He can't even see it. That would have been so good. Like if they did something like that, I would have laughed my ass off. Like, but there was no reward to that scene whatsoever. Like again, like how much extra footage? I'd love to go back and compare the two because it was obviously longer, but it wasn't that much longer. I felt like I had seen it all. It didn't feel new to me. You know, so I was thinking like, oh man, like imagine it, like the camera panned around and it was like, I don't fucking know, old man Steve Rogers or something like that sitting watching it. How cool would that have been? You know, like that would have been fucking epic, bro. Like if they
That
just,
would have been crazy.
it would have been nuts,
But you
man. There was no payoff. There was nothing.
You gotta understand though, man. This is advertisement. If you watch almost every episode that you watch of Hawkeye, literally has a billboard for Rogers the musical. And I'm telling you, man, like this,
They're gonna release
like
it?
they're gonna push this, and this is why they put it at the very end. And although it wasn't satisfying for like an after credits scene in terms of like what's next in the MCU, it was satisfying to me because I thought it was just hilarious that they just decided to drop this bomb at the very end.
Yeah.
I feel like if we hadn't seen the musical already, this would have been a good after credit scene.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't have that episode 1 scene, this would have been fantastic. But
Yeah, it
I feel
would've
like the
been funny.
joke is we already seen the joke though. Like we get it. Like I can do this all day. It's funny.
Yeah.
We've seen it over the internet. So I would have liked it then. But now that we've seen it, they should have added something else for us, the audience. Like Finto said, it's Old Man Rogers. You know, if Daredevil, could you imagine if Daredevil would have been sitting there
Just
and,
bopping his head.
Yeah, and like Foggy's like explaining the show to him.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, they're all in the same. Oh,
Yeah.
there's that bit. Like just
Yeah.
something more for the fans other than
Yeah.
just the same scene that we saw.
Yeah, dude.
I was just
really.
I was just singing along.
And then as well, like
Oh.
you know, like no, like don't get me wrong, like it's funny, but it would have that would have been better for me if that was like a mid credit scene and then they did something at the end, because you got to think about it as well. Like the next, like we're not seeing any new footage now until like Doctor Strange 2, which is just going to be shenanigans. Like it's going to be madness. It's not going to be anything. I don't think that's going to be like canonized going forward, unless some of the, like, you know, I've heard stuff of them bringing in loads of new characters, unless they're kind of ramping up now to bring in like the X-Men early and stuff like that, which will obviously will have a massive effect on the MCU. But I think a lot of the stuff it's going to be one-off little one-shots like Hugh Jackman and stuff like that, like stuff that we're going to go crazy to see, but it's not going to hang around. It's just like a one and done, like him doing like a hop between loads of different multiverses and just like, oh hey Logan, how are you, blah blah blah, whatever, like, you know. I don't think any of that, like that, you know, it's amazing fan service and stuff like that, but it's not integral to the story. So like, when do we get to see the actual story continue? I don't think it's Multiverse of Madness really. Multiverse of Madness is kind of just like a sidestep, you know. Whereas that's why I wanted something important to happen. I heard that they cut scenes from more Vincent D'Onofrio stuff. Like I would have liked to see the state that he's in. You know, did he lose his eyesight? Has he been picked up? Is he okay? Like what the hell's going on with him? Where is he? What's he doing? Or like, I don't know, like anything, something linking into Multiverse of Madness, maybe even. I don't know, like, you know.
I mean,
they got nothing.
They did such a little job with Kingpin and made him so unimportant to the overall series.
Yeah.
I wish they would have just like kept him out of it and then just have him be at the musical. Maybe he's at the musical watching it, you know?
Yeah.
Like they should just let
Would've been
Kingpin out
great.
of this thing. Yeah, like they just did not do anything with Kingpin, and it's such a letdown. Like, who's the big bad of this thing? Like Echo, you know, like, and she's the one that beats Kingpin, who's the other big bad of this. Like, it's so unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Like the big character that Hawkeye, a Avenger, the person he takes out is this street thug who's like a lieutenant. Like that's the dude he beats. Like, come on, bro. Like you gotta give, you know, you gotta stop holding off the reveals and making the reveals big. You gotta start making the reveals earlier in these series and making them part of the show. Because Kingpin should have been in this thing at the very least at the beginning of last episode, right? Like episode 5.
Yeah.
It had like a 2-episode arc where he goes through everything. Like there's a better way I think to set all this up than what we're getting. I don't know how to do it specifically because I'm not a writer, right? But it just feels like there could be a better way.
No, there was definitely a lot of reshoots and cuts. So like they just wanted to shorten it down to make it a Christmas episode and then just leave it at that. And so they really they were doing a good job of giving us a show, but when it came down to the end of it, they didn't stick the landing. And I think that's what really upsets us the most. And although you guys hate the after credits scene, I do love that you guys are trying to fix it. You know, it's something that could be fixed. And actually, Finto, I was going to ask, like, would you have preferred that little number be, you know, in a special episode, like a 4-minute episode, 10-minute episode of just like a little bit of that dance number? Would you have watched that?
I'll watch anything, bro. Like anything MCU related, I'm gonna watch. But I just think I'm just annoyed because now it's like, you know, we had such a big end to the year with Spider-Man and with this show, and we didn't get anything. Like, you know, even if you think back to all we got for No Way Home was a shitty Venom scene. We don't know what's gonna happen with that, and a fucking trailer for Doctor Strange 2. You know, so you know they kind of, and I understand, you know, that they want to kind of maybe give people like that exclusive look at Doctor Strange 2, but now that trailer's up on YouTube, like, no, like, you know, now I don't care about seeing that in the theater. I'm like, shit, I would have loved to seen some more of Peter, or, you know, an introduction of Norman Osborn or something like that, like something crazy, or Kingpin. You know, Kingpin would have been amazing to drop at the end of Spider-Man, you know, like that would have been great. Even that scene, like just something like, you know, you take him out of Hawkeye, but you just put him at the very end of Spider-Man. And then you have him just kind of walking in with the cane or something like that, with the white suit on. You'd be like, oh my god, it's Kingpin. Like, what the fuck? Like, it would have just slapped a lot more there. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not critiquing it too much. Like, I enjoyed it all, but I just think it could have been better.
Yeah.
Have there been other movies besides Iron Man 3 that had an after credit scene that didn't necessarily do anything for the future?
They have definitely joked around in the past, like with after credit scenes and stuff like that, but usually, and I think at pivotal moments, like especially like the introduction of like the multiverse and how important Spider-Man was, I'm very surprised that they didn't do something crazy, like something important, you know. And I think I don't think that Venom is going to be that important. Maybe it is. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people talking now. A lot of people want Andrew Garfield back. Like there's a whole campaign. There's a whole campaign on Twitter for the Amazing Spider-Man 3, and they're thinking like, you know, that's who should be Tom Hardy's Spidey and stuff like that. Not Tom Holland. I'm hearing now as well that Tom Holland's next trilogy is not going to be in the MCU. How the fuck does that happen? You know, yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, how does he go to college but it's not? It's a college trilogy. But how does he go to college and it's not in the MCU? Is it not in the MCU?
It's gotta be in the MCU. There's no way it's not.
I know, I don't know. This is just like stuff I'm reading and I'm like, oh god. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of talk about Andrew, which I'm very happy about. I love Andrew. And I think he deserves his third movie. And I think if it does involve Venom, I think that'd be kind of cool, just because the other two Spideys have Venoms technically. Well, Tom doesn't yet, but now the symbiote's in his universe. So, you know, does it go into Flash? I hope not in the MCU, because I hate that Flash. But I'd like to see it go into somebody else, like Deadpool or something like that, because like that's in the comics. That's how, wasn't that how it happened in the comics? He went like he synced with Wade first and then went to Spidey. Yep. So like that could be really cool. Like, could you imagine like Wade with the symbiote, you know, and then it goes into Tom Holland, and then he brings it back to Sony or something.
And he desynced with Wade because it was too much, right?
Yeah, Wade was just too insane. And that's perfect. Like that's brilliant. Like, you know, like that's I think if you do stuff like that, like I think if the MCU are going to use Venom, they need to do something really different. They can't just have another Eddie Brock. You know, they need to just do something mad with it. And I think that'd be a really good idea. And to get like an evil Ryan Reynolds or something would just be fucking crazy. Like, you know,
but it does show it does show that, like, since we're in the multiverse, we do need an Eddie Brock in the MCU. So I do believe that they're going to probably try their best to introduce a new Eddie Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely need to, because I don't think they can pull Tom Hardy into the MCU. You know, if he was going to do it, he would have already stayed. He would not have gone back to the Sonyverse, I don't think.
No.
And like with him going back to the Sonyverse and people wanting the Amazing Spider-Man 3, be careful what you ask for, because this is the same Sony that, messed up the Amazing Spider-Man 2 and ruined that franchise.
Yeah.
This is the same Sony that did Venom. That's not that great. The Carnage movie, which is even worse. Like, be careful what you wish for, because I love Andrew Garfield. He's my favorite Spider-Man. I do not need Sony making a Spider movie with him. I would rather him just be like reserved and have him come back to the MCU whenever the MCU feels like there's a good storyline for him, because they know how to write Spider-Man. They know how to make a good Spider-Man film and make Andrew Garfield in his best light. Because
from what I understand, Feige is going over to Sony, and he will be involved in anything Spider-Man related. So that kind of helps me a bit, like just the fact that he's going to be involved with and Amy Pascal and stuff like that. I think they work very well. I think if what I've heard is true, that they're they're doing a whole Spider-Verse. It's at Sony. Craven, Hawk, what's his name, Morbius, fucking all this stuff, and then they bring in like Spider-Man. I think that'd be pretty wild. I've heard that Toby is going to be involved in Doctor Strange too, because it's Sam Raimi. So, I don't think Tom Holland is going to be in that movie, but I think we have a Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire is going to be in that movie, which is crazy. Like, imagine we're doing it. There's the next appearance of Spider-Man is not Tom Holland. Like, how nuts is that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I truly believe that Andrew's going to get his third movie. And if Kevin Feige's attached to it, I think it could be a big success. And if
It'd be interesting to see Kevin Feige outside of the MCU, because he's working with a lot of properties. He's really built this great system around himself that runs very well, makes really good, passable movies. It'll be interesting to see him outside of that sphere and see if he's all he's cracked up to be, or is it just because he figured out how to line the Marvel movies up right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think that they're trying. I felt that with that after credits scene with a piece of Venom leaving and staying in the MCU, it reminds me of kind of dealings that they do underneath that we don't get to see, under the table deals that we don't really think about until it's gonna hit, ready to hit us. So I really think that Marvel possibly asked Sony if they could use Venom in their next series of things, like the next phase and whatnot, and that's where I think that this was kind of molded into, which seems it does seem pretty rushed, but I do like that they're trying to ask and see if they can get more of the characters that are owned by others into their universe. And it also makes me hopeful that they start up a Venomverse, because there is in fact a Venomverse, which is going to be so cool.
Do we need a Venomverse on the movies?
We need an MCU Venomverse.
What I've heard is that Tom Holland will go over and be part of Venom 3, and he'll bring the rest of the symbiote over with him, and then it will remerge with Tom Hardy, and that will give him the spider logo on the chest and stuff like that, and a kind of final form for Eddie Brock, that Eddie Brock's version of Venom, which makes sense. It's it's kind of like what they're doing with Tom Holland, and they kind of give him a 3-movie origin arc, which is just kind of different. Like the MCU Spidey was completely different, to what we know. His loss is Aunt May, not Uncle Ben, and so on. And I think maybe that's what they're doing with this version of Eddie Brock. It's okay, now it's at the end of the next movie, he'll be Venom, the real Venom, and the symbiote god, I've heard all this stuff is coming down the line as well, Null and I presume Carnage will make a return at some point as well, and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't know, I don't know how much I'm kind of in the same boat here as Hoffman. I don't really want to see any of it. I don't give a shit about much of it. I'll definitely watch Tom Holland in a Venom movie. I think that'd be interesting to see, like how the two of them actually finally react on stage together. But it's like, I don't really care. You know, I'm not gonna be. I won't be hot like ultra hyped for this movie like coming out. Like, you know, I think it'll be very much the same as the Carnage movie. It'll be like, yeah, I'll watch it, but I'll probably never watch it again. You know, I've seen both. I've seen both of those Venom movies once in my life, and that's enough. Like, you know, and I think unless Tom Holland has a lot of screen time in a movie, which I don't think he would, I think it's very much just like cameos here and there, like him just delivering the rest of the symbiote back to Sony and then fucking off again somehow. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of that like actually matters. You know,
I just want that banter, and I know we're going to get it eventually. I just want that banter between Spider-Man and Venom.
Yeah,
like I feel like it's long overdue.
Yeah, I'd prefer to see it in the MCU though, but they've already sent Tom Hardy back, so it's kind of like, is it going to be like what you're saying? Is there going to be a Venomverse and the Hive Mind, and will there actually be two Venoms existing at the same time, but they can talk to each other? You know, I don't know how they're going to do it. Like, I don't know how it works.
I think what they do with Venom at the very least, like, he's going to be either in Deadpool, like you're saying, or he's in Spider-Man 4. Like, he's definitely a Spider-Man 4 villain if he doesn't show up in Deadpool. Which, you know, that for Deadpool, that's actually a creative way to make Deadpool less graphic. You know, if Venom's trying to pull him back, like, outside of that crazy realm, because it's a Disney movie and they don't want to do that. But then if not, like, if it's Spider-Man 4, like, that seems way more feasible to me, that he, you know, we get a new Eddie Brock in 4, and we get Venom on him in 4, than Tom Holland going over to the Sonyverse, because I feel like if Tom Holland was going to go over to the Sonyverse, they would have done something in No Way Home to kind of show that.
Yeah,
because I don't see how he gets there outside of, like, you know, Multiverse and Madness in scene. You know, the same way Tom Hardy kind of jumped over to the MCU real quick from the in scenes.
Yeah.
Because I just don't see how he gets there.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, it's very all over the place. Like, especially with the fact that, like, I presume Doctor Strange himself is going to do a lot of hopping around the multiverse in his movie. I haven't heard that Tom Holland will be in that movie, so I don't know how Tom gets to Sony.
Yeah.
I can understand how, like, maybe he collects Toby and brings Toby over or something like that to the MCU again, just for a bit, for that, like, a fight or something like that. But yeah, I don't understand. And then as well, like, you know, how quick does the whole Venom thing happen? I would presume it would need its own movie. I don't think it's going to be like, you know, we just kind of fade to black at a part in Doctor Strange 2 and we see, like, Tom Holland with a black suit on. I don't think we're gonna, like, it's not gonna skip over it. I presume we're gonna see what happens. So where does it happen? Like, you know.
But, like, I feel like it's all over the place only because the fans keep spinning all of these, like, rumors and stuff. And if you just, like, strip it down to, like, what the movies are showing us, it's either, you know, Tom's not going over to the Venomverse and they're going to have Andrew Garfield be the Spider-Man in that, or they're going to bring up, like, Miles Morales and, like, create a whole new Spider-Man within the Sonyverse. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's just as simple as that. And just us dorky ass nerds on the internet are, like, just, you know, just making this way more complicated and trying to add all these, like, stories and things that we want to see, and kind of, like, the rumors and our fan fiction almost become the movies, and that's kind of how No Way Home happened in the first place. So it's I think it's just us. I don't think it's Marvel or Sony overcomplicating things.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's just like everything that we've heard, like, to be true, like, business wise between Sony and Marvel. I just don't know how they make that stuff happen in the movies. That's where I just don't understand, you know. Booker Bush just mentioned in the chat there, his wife was mentioning that he said that Tom is finished at Spidey, which is not the case. The only reason why that's happening is because he was like doing contract negotiations with them, because I think I had mentioned this before. He's getting dangerously underpaid as Spider-Man. You know, he is the leader of the MCU now at the moment. Like, and I think now after the success of that movie, you know, he's definitely due some real money going forward, and I hope he gets every cent that he deserves.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing an article on that he was getting about he was negotiating for about 8 figures.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that'd be great.
yeah, he deserves it. He deserves it. Like, I think he has 15 million for that entire trilogy or something like that, which is crazy when you think about it, because Robert Downey Jr. got the same amount of money to be the first movie for 8 minutes. It's fucking ridiculous, And he's the star.
What was Robert Downey Jr. paid in the first Iron Man too, right?
Well, that's true. But at the same time,
And how much was Terrence Howard?
Sorry?
How much was Terrence Howard paid compared to Tony?
Way more.
Way more. Terrence got 10 million and Tony got $500,000 or something like that. So when the second movie came around, Terrence wanted 15, and they're like, "We're only paying Robert 2. Like, what are you talking about? We can't pay you this money." So that's why they switched him out. So I'm just checking the global gross. It passed $1 billion. Spidey passed $1 billion, which is crazy.
And I mean, this guy has so much money or so much swing to come to the negotiation table, because his movie is past $1 billion. When all the rest of the movies this year are barely breaking 500 million, right? And everyone's, people aren't coming out. People don't want to go to see the movies anymore. And then all of a sudden, Spider-Man comes out and it's like, boom, $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
Right there. This is what people want to see.
Yeah.
So he should get paid. And I know what he was saying is he doesn't want to be playing Spider-Man at 30, right? And so he's 25 now. And so he's got some time. 5 years is a pretty long time. They're going to try and, get as much out of him. They'll probably try to raw a Spider-Man movie every other year at this point, until they establish some MCU players that can, kind of swing at that, because the MCU really got nothing else going on right now, man. They don't got a team up movies. There's no Avenger movies coming together that are going to be big.
Yeah.
They got, I think Wakanda Forever is probably going to be the next really big film for them. I think Multiverse of Madness is going to do well, but I don't think it's going to come close to being anywhere like Spider-Man, right? But I think Wakanda Forever has that chance because the first one was such a huge deal. I've never seen people like that in movie theaters coming out. So I don't know, man. I think Spider-Man's just they're gonna milk Tom for all the money he takes from him.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got more than 5 years in him. He signed on for 5 appearances, a trilogy and 2 more appearances. So that's they can't put out a movie every year. It's not possible. So you know what I mean? It's 6 years for the movies, I'd say. It's 2 years per movie realistically, between shooting it and promoing it, releasing it, and all that sort of shit. And then you move on to the next one with time off in the middle, because he has to work on other stuff as well. So
look at Lord of the Rings. Maybe they do something like that, where it's they film the whole trilogy at once.
Ooh,
and then they just kind of work that around it.
Maybe, yeah, they could do that, yeah.
Because they know they're going to want a trilogy out of this, and they know he's going to be getting older, but they want to keep it all in the college years, because it already looked a little ridiculous that he's 25 trying to play a senior in high school. You're getting to that point that you kind of need to group these up a little bit more.
He does look young though. I think he does still look very young, and he's short and stuff like that. So I think he can pull it off for a good few years. I would totally buy that he's 18, 19 going into college. He looks young. But I understand what you're saying. I think I just don't know. Can Marvel do the whole Lord of the Rings thing, shooting a trilogy at once, just because everything is so interlinked? Could you do that? I just don't. You would need some serious foresight into how everything's going to go in the future and how everything connects, because everything is so closely knit together that that's not how they're making the movies now. Obviously they did Endgame and Infinity War as one big long thing, but again, that was released within a year of each other, and there was nothing in between really, except for Captain Marvel, which obviously that was all that's planned. But how do you do it over 4 years or potentially 5 or 6? Because
right.
I don't know.
And for continuous shooting though, isn't that a bit dangerous in the modern times now, where leaks can happen at any point?
Oh Jesus, man! Think about the amount of stuff that I knew most of that movie play for play really, going into it, and if they were shooting stuff for movies that were 4 or 5 years down the line, everything would be out. They just don't want that. So I don't know if they do that. Maybe they do too. It could be part 1, part 2, kind of I don't know, Far From Home and No Way Home was basically a continuation. It was one movie really when you think about it, and there was
Right.
there was two years in between them, so I don't know.
Yeah. I would assume like Spider-Man 6, like the way they go out in it is, they treat Spider-Man the same way they kind of treated Captain America films, where it's like that's the big connective tissue movie throughout the MCU.
Yeah.
Where we had Civil War is a Captain America movie. And so you see a lot of people come together because that's what we're missing in the MCU right now. I think the whole reason these end credit scenes feel so bad for them not putting all these like, connective tissue scenes together is because we just came out of like a 5-year period at the end of phase 3 and 2, whatever, where it's like there was so much connection. There was so many like, Avenger movies coming out, and then there's this person, this film, then we had Infinity War, then Endgame and Captain Marvel. Like everything was so tied together. Yeah. And there's just been none of that for the last 2 years of phase 4, like coming out a little bit. Like it just, there's like nothing connecting them. So when they're not giving us that, it's like, it feels like the beginning of phase 1, but you can't really go back to that without it feeling unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really shows how like the pandemic has put a pin on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They even mention it in the MCU somewhere. I can't remember where they mentioned it though, but they mentioned it at one point. It's like, are the Avengers even a thing anymore? I can't remember where that line came from. It was something that we've seen in the last like year. I don't know if it was like Eternals or something maybe, or it was somewhere in the MCU. And it's like they know themselves. They're like, the Avengers don't even exist anymore. That. Was it Yelena?
In Hawkeye. Yeah, she was talking to Kate Bishop, right? And Kate Bishop's like, he's an Avenger. She's like, what's that word even mean anymore?
I wasn't even thinking of that, but that's true as well. So it's like they know themselves that the Avengers are not a thing. Like, so yeah, I think they need to bundle back up, and they need to do it fast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to tack onto that, like even in No Way Home with Toby Spider-Man, it's like, oh great, the Avengers, who are they? And although it was a joke because he's never had the Avengers in his universe.
Yeah,
it almost feels like it was taking a jab at like what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
But in terms of everything that's going on, though, although the pandemic has slowed things down, put a pin on like their projects and whatnot, I think I really feel as if after Loki, everything does feel fractured, like it's a multiverse. Like everything's kind of separated right now. Everything's kind of, in its own place because it's all crazy right now. But eventually we're going to reach that multiversal war as was spoken in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Secret Invasion, I think, will be a big one where they kind of bring a lot of people back as well. Just the fact that they'll have like Samuel L. Jackson and stuff like that. I think that'll be kind of like a meet-up point to bring a lot of stuff back together. So, but that show, is that show out in 2022? Or is it 2023?
No,
or even, I don't even know now.
I want to say it's past that, like 2024. I feel like Secret Wars is a ways out.
No, Secret Invasion, sorry. The TV show.
Oh, Secret... that's what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I think Secret Invasion is a ways out.
Really? God.
I could be wrong. Like, I don't even know when Secret Wars is coming out. Aside,
it's not even really like confirmed as much. And
I would assume that's going to be the next big like Avengers movie. It's going to be like the Avengers Secret Wars, right?
That Secret Invasion, or like Secret Wars will be the big one. That's where like they're talking about like Chris Evans coming back and everything. Like it's going to be crazy. Like.
And we absolutely need Doom and Fantastic Four at that point.
Yeah.
They're saying Secret Invasion is 2022, so I'm totally wrong about that. But
that's great.
I could have sworn it's coming. Like it feels like it's way later.
I just know I know they're shooting it now, so it's like with TV, it's like it can't be 2 or 3 years down the line. Like it has to be soon. So yeah, I think like this one will be a good one. I think it'll bring a lot of people back. And then the Marvel show as well might bring. It might bring like Captain Marvel into the fold, and usually wherever she is now, Hulk is and stuff like that. Like, so we might, I think it'll slowly start bringing them back. But they're gonna have to introduce, like, again, it's always the case. It's always the way they need to introduce a big bad because there needs to be a reason for them to get back together. They don't just all hang out and beat the shit out of fucking street thugs. There's no point of that happening. They're all off doing their own shit unless there's like a world level event happening. What's that going to be? Like, is it Kang? Is it? Don't think it's Kingpin. It's too early to be Galactus. So, you know, I don't really know. I don't think we have the answer. I think Doom is right. I think it's Doom. I think it's going to be Doom. It's going to be the next big one.
And I would love Doom because it's like that's huge. That's worldwide domination.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Doom feels like a Loki level character, right? Where
Yeah.
you know, is he like the biggest threat in the universe? No, but does he take, you know, a really skilled team to like take out? Yeah, because he's Doom. He's really fucking smart and he knows how to like create stuff and I don't know, but again, where's the Fantastic Four? When are we getting them? When are they coming in, baby?
I heard a rumor today that Reed Richards, I don't know which Reed Richards, but there may be a Reed Richards in Multiverse of Madness.
Oh.
It's got to be the first movie one, like the very first one with with Jessica Alba as like invisible. Oh man, that would be so fun.
Because I heard another rumor that we might be getting Chris Evans, and he might appear on screen, and he's going to be dressed like Steve Rogers, but then he's going to say "Flame On," and he's going to be Johnny Storm.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I think that'd be so fucking good, dude.
I mean, like, okay, and then in another series, we got the Avengers Tower. Like the fate of the Avengers Tower got teased again.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Fist Tower because they put him in like some dingy little small shop for his like little headquarters. So they're holding back on it. It's got to be Fantastic, the Fantastic Four Tower.
I think so. Yeah.
They've teased this thing, held out on it so long. I'm starting to get really bad about it. Like I just want to see the damn tower, man. Like what happened to it? What's its fate?
Yeah.
Even in Hawkeye, someone pointed out that where the Avengers Tower is, there was a shot of New York City, and they didn't put the tower there where it should have been. It's because it's the MetLife building is where the Avenger Tower takes over. Like and they just have the MetLife building. So like people who know New York are like, hey man, that's where the tower's supposed to be. Why didn't you show us it?
Yeah. It's getting a remodel.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I would like the next up in the lineup is supposed to be Moon Knight. So
really,
Moon Knight's
Miss Marvel, right?
You know what? I'm not sure. Like, was She-Hulk pushed ahead of it?
I don't know. It's such a mess, bro. Like they're pushing shows and pulling shows so much.
At this
point,
I thought the next thing we were getting was Multiverse of Madness.
That's in what,
June.
May?
I think June. Or maybe
June
May.
now?
It might be May. You might be right. I just thought I didn't think we were getting any of the TV shows till like the second half of the year. I thought they were
shocked.
I apologize I meant in terms of TV shows.
Yeah, like what's the next piece of Marvel content that we have?
That should be Multiverse of Madness. Well, you would say Morbius if you wanted to, introduce that character. It's a character from Marvel. It's a character from Marvel used by Sony. We have to include it. Okay. You can't ignore it.
I'll ignore it.
I'll fucking ignore it.
We gotta watch it, bro. We gotta watch it.
I'll watch it and I'll probably enjoy it. It looks pretty good, but I mean, like, MCU, like, what's the next important thing in the MCU?
All right, I got a pretty good list here. May 6th is the Multiverse of Madness. Miss Marvel is in the summer. I'm shocked that we're not getting a MCU TV show in the first half of the year on Disney Plus. That's crazy. Yeah,
I think Disney are kind of giving stuff to Star Wars for the start of the year because we got Book of Boba, and I think there's that other show, The Acolyte or something like that. I'm not too sure. I think there's another show.
Yeah, I think I remember the name Acolyte.
Yeah.
So Multiverse of Madness in May. In the summer, we have Miss Marvel. Thor: Love and Thunder come out in July. Wakanda Forever is in November. December is Guardians holiday special. And then Moon Knight, She-Hulk are both 2022 to be decided.
Okay.
And that's it.
Weird.
That looks like the release content.
We got to take a look at some other Disney related like time slots and see if maybe we could fit something in there.
Yeah,
maybe
this might be not be the most updated one because they're saying like Secret Division here is to be decided, and somewhere else that was 22.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Like if you think they probably have like 5 Marvel shows for 2022, and like 3 movies, is it?
Right, I think you're right. Yeah, 3 movies.
So, and like I saw a thing today that they were talking about. There was like some sort of like a fan poll taken, like, you know, what's your most hyped up and like what are you looking forward to seeing the most in 2022, and people said that they were looking forward to the return of Chris Hemsworth the most out of anything that was coming this year. So like, and I find that kind of crazy because like I don't see anybody really talking too much about Love and Thunder yet. You know, we're kind of in the Doctor Strange 2 like build up now, and we're not even really talking about that, and there's like a month between them, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy actually.
The only thing I would say is like that we know of Love and Thunder is the fact that Chris Hemsworth is getting jacked.
Oh, he's jacked to the moon, bro.
Did you see that poster that got leaked allegedly a little bit ago? That was a Thor Love and Thunder poster.
I think that was official merch, right? That was like officially licensed by Marvel. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Taika Waititi came out and said that wasn't official, but like, you know, he might just be deflecting, right? So, but I'm excited for that's the one I want to see because I'm a massive Thor nerd. Like that's, you know, I got Mjolnir back there. That's my favorite character in the whole MCU. I'm excited to see what's going on. I'm excited to see Natalie Portman come back. I want to see how they integrate the Guardians and like Chris Pratt into the story. You know, Christian Bale playing Gore.
Zeus.
Like I'm fucking so excited.
Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, like
Crazy.
I am so excited about that movie. Also, you know, there was someone who like caught in, it was like on a news ticker in No Way Home that there was political things going on in New Asgard.
Yeah. Saw that.
So cool. Like that's gonna be interesting to see what's going on with Valkyrie over there, right?
Yeah, because she's leading New Asgard or whatever.
Yeah,
Wasn't
and like
handed off to her.
yeah, and like you know, people hate on Ragnarok a lot, saying it's too funny, but it's one of the best action movies I think I've ever seen. The movie
fantastic.
is just so well paced. It's so well paced. Like it just never gets boring. I love the movie, so I'm excited for it.
It's easily. I don't think it's top 5 for me anymore, but it used to be top 5. But it's easily like top 6 or 7. Like it's right up there with the greats. Ragnarok is phenomenal. And like you gotta understand what you're walking into. Like watching that movie. Like Taika Waititi is a comedian. Like, you know, you're like it's gonna be a funny movie. You know, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if people just don't know who Taika Waititi is, and they're going in like, why is this movie so funny? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you know, this is to be taken as a kind of action comedy film.
Then he should have taken the helm for Venom, Let There Be Carnage, because they were trying to be funny and it didn't work.
Yeah, Andy Serkis isn't very funny. Like, you know, I thought like, oh, Andy Serkis, like, you know, like at least the CGI will be incredible to watch and all that sort of stuff. And it was just like, whatever.
Yeah,
Wasn't great. Like,
but Taika Waititi nails it. And although I really didn't like the fact that they tacked on like Planet Hulk stuff and mix it up, and you know, that's just a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Like I will say that is a very good movie.
yeah,
I thought the Hulk was so good in that movie, bro.
he was phenomenal. He was great.
Yeah, he was still good. I just wish it had made its own movie in the future. But you never know. They might do something else with a different planet. They got multiple things that they could do with it.
I think they are. I think that this is this is like the intro, like the purpose of Ruffalo being in a She-Hulk is that they're gonna intro like Planet Hulk, like, and do it properly, or World War Hulk or whatever it is. Yeah, like I think you're gonna get what you deserve, sir. You will get it. It's coming.
I wouldn't even be opposed to a World War She-Hulk for the fact that if Jennifer is going to get her powers, you know, eventually, you know, who's to say that she doesn't lose her control first before Banner, and because she's like a more new character, it might be more applicable, you know.
Yeah.
Give her more screen time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Like, it's I know there's a lot of content coming for us to cover, but I don't like that we don't know exactly when it is. That really stresses me out. Like, you know, like I know the next 6 or 7 weeks will be like Star Wars for me. Like, it'll be big time Boba and stuff like that. And then like Andor, and like I think there's like the first half of the year is going to be a lot of Star Wars stuff. I don't know. I don't know if like we can even like really go too deep talking about that on this. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do for the next while.
Until I will take the initiative and start watching everything Star Wars related with Mando, with Book of Boba Fett. I'll do that for you, man. If you want this content out on here, I will do it for you.
I just like the only thing, like, I don't mind, me and Hoffman doing like a breakaway thing like we did for Visions, like either, like that wouldn't bother me, like doing something like that, covering it week by week in a 10-minute video is fine. But I like when it comes around to the podcast, like for the next like 2 months, like what the fuck are we going to talk about?
Well, yeah, we got Morbius coming up, Batman's coming up, right?
True.
Yeah.
Batman would be great. Like again, that's one episode. Like that's one show in March.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's
Well,
kind of
boys.
yeah. It's like I know you.
I know we talked about it a little before I dropped you a message about it, but like, now that Daredevil and Kingpin are in the MCU, the Netflix shows, we could do like season rewatches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could fit in like a whole season a week to watch. Since they're all out, like if I get a couple hours, I could binge them. So we could do like, Daredevil, or like the order that the Netflix shows are supposed to go. We could get a couple weeks out of that probably. Or a couple
Yeah,
months.
I wouldn't mind talking about that, like, because I think it's fairly well known that like Foggy's coming back, and Karen Page and stuff like that, like, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I really do believe now that Spider-Man's out of the way, so to speak, on the schedule, it's like there's going to be MCU news dropping. They're going to be like, where are we going? What's coming up? Locking in dates, dropping trailers. I think that's going to start rolling out a little bit more heavy now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like, I don't know, Alex, like, it's entirely up to you, dude. Like, I definitely, if we're doing a podcast on Friday, like episode 1 of Boba will be out, I definitely will want to talk about it, of course, like,
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, where you have, like, dropped off on Star Wars. Like, have you seen, like, all the movies? Like, have you seen, like, what have you seen? I don't know, like.
I stopped at episode 9. I didn't watch any of the shows.
Okay, so you've seen all the movies, and
Yep.
okay, yeah. So if you just watch Mandalorian, that's all you need to watch. Like, it's 2 seasons of Mandalorian, and then you're caught up. that's it, really. To be honest,
All right.
you don't really.
All right, I'll do.
You don't need to watch
Yep.
like Solo or any of these movies, like, or like
Okay.
Rogue One. Probably one of the best movies. Definitely the best Star Wars movie ever made, Rogue One. So if you haven't seen it, definitely do watch it. But
Yeah.
it's not essential to what you're going to see next. Like,
Bold takes. I love that you say that.
oh, my bro, like,
Well,
Rogue One is incredible. Like,
God.
it doesn't even
It's
feel
funny
like a
that
Star
you
Wars
mentioned
movie.
that.
Go on.
It's funny that you mentioned that though. Like, I have one of my girlfriend's like brother-in-law is a huge Star Wars fan, and for Christmas he got a Director Krennic statue.
Oh wow,
And yeah, from Rogue One.
Dude,
Nice.
he's so
No.
good in it, man.
so good.
Ugh.
I think what Rogue One really shows is like we've been asking for them to get away from the main Star Wars series for a long time. And there are elements of in Rogue One that like kind of hook it into episode 4 for sure, right?
Yeah.
But that, at the time, that was the most we ever got away from the main saga.
Yeah.
And it's the best story they were able to tell since the original trilogy because they could kill people off. They could do this with a character. They didn't have to like end characters at a certain spot for them to pick it back up in the timeline. They could just do what they wanted, and dude, it's so good, man. Some of the best, the absolute best cinematography we've gotten in Star Wars has been Rogue One. Those shots are just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's stunning. And like, I think most of the movie is its own thing, and it's only like the last kind of 20 minutes that you realize really what they're doing and how close they are to episode 4. Like, obviously, like when like Leia shows up and stuff, you're like, what the hell? Like, it's crazy. But like the whole like mission, you're like, oh shit, they're robbing the Death Star plans. Okay, this is what Leia's doing. Like, but you don't even really realize what's going on for most of the movie. It's its own thing, and that's what is so special about it. It's just like,
The ending.
it brings
the
you
ending
right
was
back
beautiful.
in. Yeah, it was. It was just,
Yeah.
it was so clever.
Like,
So
just the
clever.
fact that you see Leia and she's like, I'll protect this. I'll keep this in.
Yeah, and then it's like, boom, if you were to watch episode 4 straight after, I think the last shot of Rogue One leads into the very first shot of the very first shot of Star Wars. Like, so it was just like, oh, bro, it was just magical. Like, it was magical.
And it was the first time we saw like Vader actually be Vader.
Yeah.
Like this person who we hear how badass he is, but we never like really see it, right?
Yeah.
Like we just see him a little bit because it was early 70s technology, whatever. They did what they could. But then we see Vader show up and just be so ruthless, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's why everyone fears him.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's incredible, dude. So
Did you-
good. So clever.
Ever see the TikTok where they took the end fight scene in Rogue One where all the X-Wings are flying through on the beach and they put it to like some Vietnam music?
No, I didn't
Some
say
like
it.
rock, just some like old school 70s rock and roll. Like it was so good, bro.
That's deadly. Love it.
Oh, and
Beautiful.
a quick little like reference in Hawkeye is to Star Wars. When you hear the Trusted Bro guy, he's like, this is Red One.
Yeah.
I'm in position.
That was good. That was good. I like it. Very good. Yeah, I don't know, like,
But yeah,
I'm kind of just I'm not annoyed, but I wish we had a kind of clear vision of like where the MCU is going. You know, like give us a fucking like release date. Like there has to be a show on in like April or something, like, like are we gonna actually go 6 months without any new MCU content? I just don't think so. Like apparently they have I heard today they have 21 secret projects in the works at the moment.
Good Lord.
The MCU do. So it's like, X-Men movies,
Yeah.
all that sort of thing. Fantastic Four, all that sort of stuff. But like 21? And they don't have anything coming out in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
seems
Like
weird.
at this point in phase 1, we had a sense that there was a team coming together. Like they were like having connective tissue, like Nick Fury showing up talking to people at the end credits.
Yeah.
They showed you a direction where they were heading.
Yeah.
And like I don't get that sense at all, except for Multiverse of Madness and like what's that? Wanda and Doctor Strange? Like, okay. Like where's the team element of the MCU? Like that's the best part. And I'm nervous that we're not even gonna get that because Kevin Feige said he doesn't really want to do huge meetup movies anymore. He just wants to do smaller teams.
Well, like that's
And
how
I'm
that's how it feels, because like, all the stuff that we heard like last year with all the shows, or sorry, this year just gone, with like, them cutting Doctor Strange out of WandaVision and cutting scenes of Kingpin and all this sort of stuff. So it seems like they are trying to like really divide out these shows and make them their own things. But like this is prime time to be doing crossovers. It's so easy to do it. It's so easy to link everything together, and it just gives us that fan service that we all desperately need. Like, because it's like anything that remotely excites me in the MCU is like when somebody else shows up from somewhere else. It's all about team ups and crossovers and all that sort of stuff. Like that's where it's at,
Yeah.
And that's on the page and on the screen. Like everyone loves when Captain America shows up in a Spider-Man comic book. Like, everyone just loves it. Like, and like it's like, again, like where was Falcon during Spider-Man? Where was Falcon during Hawkeye?
Yeah.
It's like Clint Barton clearly needed help. Like, it's like, where the hell was Sam? Like, I don't know.
And
It's,
they always come back to that line. It's like, well, we didn't want to steal the spotlight from so and so.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is like Hollywood thinking from before the MCU. Like that's what we didn't like. That's what you don't like in Hollywood. That they changed in the MCU. That were like, oh yeah, another character can come in and help. Like that's what makes it special. And they're going against what worked for them.
Yeah.
When they're trying to like just like, oh, we're gonna save the spotlight for this one person. Like it doesn't take anything away.
No.
Seeing Tom Holland next to Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield, like that didn't really take away from Tom Holland. Like it just didn't. Like it didn't steal the spotlight like inside of the movie. I know afterwards it kind of does, but inside of the movie it didn't take away from
It made
the
perfect
MCU's
sense.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, made perfect sense. And it would have made perfect sense for Doctor Strange to show up during WandaVision. Like, he's this one state over. He's the fucking, like, he's supreme. Like, he would have definitely felt the magic. And, like, even in the trailer, it's just like, yeah, I'm not here to talk about Westview. Like, it's like he knows what happened. Like, it's like he's fully aware, but it's like, oh, yeah, no, we don't want to take away from the magic. Like, we don't want to take any of the focus away from Wanda. It's like, that would have elevated that show so much. So much. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, at the very least, Wong should have showed up because he is actually the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
Like maybe he should have gone over there.
True.
God dang it.
True. On a technicality.
Yeah.
Love it.
I saw some TikTok of this guy like claiming like he called this at Doctor Strange wasn't going to be the Sorcerer Supreme, but it wasn't for the same reason. He's like, I call this so far back. I'm like, dude, you got it. How can you get it so wrong and still think you're right? Because like at the end product, like,
yeah. It's like, that's someone who's read a lot of comic books and knows how a different story goes in the comics, but it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen, and then just like is claiming that he knew all along. It's like, well, you read a comic book like from 20 years ago,
Well, people love being confidently incorrect.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm one of them. I love it. It's a pastime. Like, call me a boomer. That's how it was before Google. Like, it was a joy to be incorrect.
Yeah.
You can just talk your shit.
Did you see? So obviously, as we know in the Doctor Strange 2 trailer, we have the evil Strange showing up, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people now saying like, "Ooh, I wonder now, like with Natasha sorting out her shit, or sorry, not Natasha, but Scarlett Johansson sorting out all of her shit with Disney. Does this now potentially open up? Because the way at the end of What If, a different variant of Natasha went into a different universe. It's like, could they potentially bring that version of Natasha back into live action? Would you be for? Yeah, would you be for or against that? Because she seemed like a fucking badass, man. That version of Natasha was straight killer, and I would love to see that.
Yes, because I'm a Scarlett Johansson fan. No, because I don't want them to take away what she did in Endgame. You know what I mean? I don't want them to lessen that at all. I still think they would make it work and be awesome, but like, I'm just, I don't want them to use this as a get out of jail free card with the multiverse where it's like everyone's death has a chance to not matter because they can just bring people back whenever they want.
Yeah.
That makes it like, the next time someone dies in a big scene, you're like, oh, well, they'll just bring them back. No big deal. Whatever. That
is comic books. Like, resurrection's always kind of a thing, so.
Yes. And, that's a huge problem, in my opinion, with comic books is that they do that. It's a gimmick. It's not really good storytelling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the chat's definitely saying like Yelena, just stick with Yelena. Yelena's better. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give Yelena a lot of screen time in this because she's doing spectacular right now.
She really is.
Yeah,
she's stealing the show whenever she's on screen. But I do think that if they did that, like if they did bring like this badass version of Natasha in from a different universe at the end of like Secret Wars or some shit, I think it would be pretty cool to have her back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I think like that's kind of what they do in the comics and stuff. They kind of, Steve Rogers will die and he'll be gone for like 10 of our years, and then he'll just kind of reappear. And I think that's I don't know how you do that in action movies with like people who are aging. Like Scarlett Johansson can barely run, and now like she's not going to be doing too much. Like at the end, like in 10 years time, like she's not going to be flipping around and all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at Alfred Molina.
True. But again, he didn't. He did nothing in this movie. He stood on a plank.
No, he really did.
He did nothing. He literally stood on a plank and had no movement. Like I was listening to an interview with Tom Holland. He had no control over his own body. Like they'd be in between scenes, and the two of them would be talking to each other. And in the middle of like a sentence, Alfred would just get picked up and dragged away, and Tom would be like, "Okay, see you." So funny.
That's so funny.
It's amazing. Hilarious.
I'd be really interested to see what they do with Doctor Strange's alternate. Like if that character's, if like the evil version of him or whatever is going to be a integral part of the story, or if he's just going to be kind of the guy's going to show him what happens if he goes down this road. Because the line he says, like, it got, really wild or whatever he says. Like if he's just kind of there to be like a Ghost of Christmas Future type of character versus someone who like actually, fights or goes off into the series and does stuff.
Yeah, I get the feeling that like he's gonna have a real big part, because like the way that the trailer kind of portrays it is that it's like the biggest threat to the multiverse is you, and it's like the evil version of himself. So yeah.
If you notice here in the trailer too, they got like that the dodecahedron or whatever that you can kind of see it spinning around like you're on the inside of it throughout the trailer, and I think that's what that version of Strange got like put into in his own little realm, and then that's what he used to hold the spell in No Way Home, was that type of shape. So that's kind of a cool artistic like thread line that they're drawing through that the universe thing, which kind of started in What If, right? Like that is the look of holding things together in prison.
Yeah, that's Waldron for you. Like Michael Waldron's like very good at that sort of thing. He's very clever with that, and obviously he worked on Loki and I don't know if he did any work for What If, but from what I hear as well is he's going over to him and Feige. I think are going over to Star Wars after they finish Multiverse, which is kind of crazy. They're going to do a Star Wars movie together.
Is he the director or cinematographer?
He's like the writer. So
okay.
He's writing it, and
right.
Feige's producing.
I think Chloe Zhao is directing, right?
I think so, but maybe not anymore. I don't know if that fell through, but interesting team up anyway. I'd be very curious to see, as you kind of mentioned earlier, I'd love to see what Feige can do outside of Marvel when he doesn't have his comfort zone there. Like, what's he gonna do? Yeah,
I would love for him to well, I don't want him to take over Star Wars, because even though I enjoy the Marvel movies, I don't like how they tried to Marvelify the Star Wars sequels, where it's like serious. Every scene has to have a joke. We can't just have like serious scenes. Everything has to have a quip, And I felt like that was terrible in Star Wars. Where it works in the MCU for me, because like it's comic book movies. Star Wars is a space opera, and it's a little bit more cinematic. But Feige knows what he's doing, so maybe he knows not to do that in the Star Wars universe.
I think they've been burnt, and I think they know that they need to go back to formula, as our boy Willem would say.
Go back to formula. No, you can't do this to me.
Yeah, dude. Anything else? Anything else from the week? I'm trying to think. Was there any other news?
New Batman trailer.
I watched. Yeah, I had it on at the start of the stream there. I like the whole Bat and the Cat thing. Like that's always a big thing in the comic books between the two of them. So I like what they're doing with their relationship in the movie. I've heard that Matt Reeves, the guy who directed the movie, like took a lot of like influence from like Kurt Cobain and stuff in like the kind of creation of a kind of grungy Gotham and a grungy kind of Bruce Wayne. So I'm curious to see how that works. I've heard the movie it's almost 3 hours long. It's a proper detective story, like thriller kind of movie. Like, so I think they're taking Batman in a direction that is very well known to anybody who reads the comic books, but they've never really done it in a movie, which is very, very interesting to me. I'm very curious to see how they do it. Like, and the more footage I'm seeing from it, the more I'm liking it. So, like, I think that's going to be a really good movie.
I wouldn't mind seeing something similar to like the animated series, or even within the comics of like at the end of it all, Batman was actually like 10 steps ahead all along, even though it seems like, the Riddler had the upper hand. And then he's like, you're finished, Nigma. Like, something like that. Just a good line that shows like, I've known all along.
I think this version of Bruce is like year 2 Batman from what I heard. So I think he's still going to be quite new. But I think he's definitely like he's working very closely with Jim Gordon and the GCPD and all that sort of stuff. So I think he very much has a detective hat on him, but I don't think he's going to be like the world's greatest detective yet. I think he's still kind of in training. But
right,
yeah, I don't know. Like the more footage I see of Catwoman, she looks cool. I didn't really like her in the first trailer. Like the first trailer, she looked very different, very strange. Like I was like, they're going like a really weird route with her or something. Like I don't know, but the more I'm seeing of her, the more I like it. And I think I'll definitely like the end product. And Andy Serkis looks great as Alfred as well.
Yeah, he does.
He actually does. So.
That's the one thing is I really think Andy Serkis does well as an actor. I don't know his directing range other than Venom Let There Be Carnage, and I prefer him as an actor. So give him more roles.
Yeah, I know. I think he needs to stay in front of the camera, to be honest. I must look up and see like what other movies he's directed, if he has done any other movies. I don't think he's done anything significant or big or popular, but I don't know. I can see the chat's talking a lot about recasting and stuff, which we've gone into extensively in previous podcasts. Extensively.
Recast everyone.
Yeah, just recast them all. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do with like.
I was saying with this Batman, like I'm very excited to see this movie. I think it's gonna be fantastic. I love it. I want to see like 1 or 2 of these this Batman movies with this version of Batman. But I feel like this is gonna bottom out Batman in the gritty sense, Like we've been getting grittier and grittier with Batman as like they keep launching the series. I'm more excited for in 5 years when they relaunch Batman again and they do something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more comic book accurate, I guess, where it's like Gotham looks wild. I know the like the George Clooney Batman like is ridiculous and it gets just it's
So much
everyone
hate.
hates that movie.
So much hate.
But like I love the theme of it though.
Yeah.
Like I love Gotham. Like I love that weird looking Gotham, kind of almost like a mix of like New Orleans and Chicago. Like this really Art Deco neon colors. Like I love that. And so I hope they go like to that, like a little bit more weirder, and then like bring in the Bat family. Like we need Robin. Like we need more of the Batman universe than just Batman and Alfred on his side. So I think I think the next reboot of Batman is going to be that. So I'm more excited for that than I am this one, but I'm very, very excited to see this one because the trailers just look amazing. I mean, it looks ridiculous.
Did you hear Keaton's Batman confirmed for the Batgirl TV show on HBO?
Yes.
Nice.
Like
I
what?
did.
Crazy. Like
Oh yeah.
it's
And,
it's pretty crazy. Obviously, he's going to be in the Flash movie, and then he's going to be in a TV show, which must be linked to that universe somehow. So, and that's an extension of the Snyderverse. So, it's so confusing, bro. There's so much going on. Obviously this Robert Pattinson universe is its own thing for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow Barry Allen fucking does something to change the timeline or something like that, or does a multiverse hop or something like that, and then they kind of merge or something like that. I don't know. I really like the idea of them somehow linking like that standalone Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix into something. Like if it was like Pattinson's universe, but it was like that was like the story of the guy who inspired the actual Joker or something like that, And then it's a way to bring like Joaquin in as an older version of himself, and it's like you see the next Joker come in, and it's like he learned everything he knows from that Joaquin version or something, because that movie was like set in like the early 90s or something. Am I right? So, yeah, I think that works, and I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, it's I don't know. DC, they're on thin ice. They always have been, and it's just I don't know. It's a make or break moment. I think I think Marvel got out the Spider-Man thing so much quicker than they got out their whole multiple Batman stories, and I think that's gonna fuck them. Like I think DC really needed to release that movie first. They really did, and they missed the boat. And I just don't think it'll be nowhere near as good as No Way Home. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like even just due to the fact that I heard that Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton didn't even share a day on set together, I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. It's like, so you're not even going to see them on screen together, and if you do, it'll be fake. Like it didn't really happen. So it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. So
I mean, they did pretty well on No Way Home, like showing off Sandman and the lizard.
Dude,
That's
like
so embarrassing.
to be honest, I didn't even pick up on the whole Sandman thing for the whole movie, and I don't know if it was just me kind of sinking into my seat and just switching off and just enjoying what I was watching, but I didn't think about it. It's like every scene that he was in, because I know he had the actor who played Sandman had like contractual like clashes with other movies that he was working on, but he did record all of the vocals for the role. So like now when I see it the second time, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, obviously he's in his sand form, but I didn't think about it the first time. I was just along for the ride, I didn't even think about it. And then obviously when you see the comparison shot of them reusing that Spider-Man 3 footage again, I didn't even notice it. But it kind of makes sense in the whole multiverse thing. It's like, same things kind of happening, but just slightly different. So it's Tom instead of Toby talking to him and stuff. I can understand how that could happen, but I don't know. I think Marvel just did it so well that I was just kind of sunk into my chair, and I had my brain switched off, just like loving what I was watching, and I didn't even pick up on it.
And that's the thing with MCU. It's like these movies don't have to be, the best written, the most convincing movies. They just got to get you to buy into them, right? And like once you buy into it, like you kind of just like will forget about everything. All these like tiny little plot holes here or there. Or like whatever. I buy into this movie that's kind of, make believe. It's fantasy. It's not based in reality. So I can go along with all this. And like that's what Spider-Man did perfectly. I don't know how they established it, but it's something that like the MCU used to do early on during phase 1 and phase 2, where it's like they get you to buy into what they're doing on screen. And so like if there are any kind of like mini thing, like you don't pick it apart because you've already bought into it. Where you know stuff like Black Widow, they don't really get you to buy into it, and you're like, none of this makes sense. Okay, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if we need something to talk about, also in January, the Peacemaker show comes out on HBO. So
I'll be watching that. I don't have high hopes for it at all, but I will be watching it. So yeah, like we could definitely bring it up. Like I think it's, Jesus, it might be like 8 or 9 episodes or 10 maybe. I'm not even sure. So yeah,
I had pulled up. It's 8 episodes, 8, and they're releasing the first 3.
Oh yeah, that's why HBO
all together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, it rolls out weekly. It looks like.
Okay.
But I'm hopeful because it says here that James Gunn is directing and writing. They got him down for 5 out of the 8 episodes.
Okay, that's interesting.
He's written all the episodes, but he directs 5 of them. So.
Okay.
Not bad.
Okay.
Bookabrush just asked in the chat there, did we talk about the Matrix? I did not talk about the Matrix because I really don't want to upset myself. That movie,
I didn't watch it yet, but I've already seen Hoffman's tweet.
Dude, it was awful. It was so bad.
It doesn't even feel like it was made by a Wachowski, right? Like it feels like it's.
But it was one of their wives, right?
Took over the Matrix.
It was it was one of the brothers' wives who did it, right? It was Lana Wachowski, wasn't it?
Well, the brothers, both of them transitioned, so now that they're both female.
Oh shit! Okay.
So it is the same director. I
thought it was one of their wives or something. Jeez, oh my god, they're sisters, right? Okay, I had no idea that was going on. Okay,
yeah,
that actually makes me hate the movie even more because I thought someone else took it over, and I was kind of giving it a bit of slack because I was like, okay, maybe it's not their vision anymore. But now that I know it's one of them, oh my god, that actually makes the movie worse. It actually makes the movie
what
worse.
It feels like, though. Yeah. It feels like another director took over the Matrix as a series, and like this is their interpretation of the world.
Yeah,
and like I liked a lot of the philosophical stuff they were doing with it, where it's like, where the first Matrix was about us interfacing with the internet, right, and like downloading into this world.
Yeah,
but now the internet's like meta, and it's being used to manipulate us in a way that we don't know because it's supposed to be like, impacting our nostalgia. Like they're manipulating our nostalgia and our feelings to get us to live in this internet world, and we don't even know they're doing it, right? Like I like what their commentary on society right now is. Everything else sucked. Everything else was just terrible. Fight scenes were bad. The style of it didn't feel right. Like you didn't have that green tone. They didn't I don't think the characters looked cool like they did in the original.
Yeah.
I thought the real world sucked.
Yeah, it was shit. Hated it. Naomi was kind of cool to see Naomi. I was like, oh shit, that's Naomi. But then I was like, I cared even less. Like as the more it went on, I just didn't give a shit about her character because she was just so boring. Like I thought, like she was a cool character in like the game when you played as her, and then how she kind of crossed into the second and third movies. I thought she's a fucking cool character, but it's like I don't know, just so much about it that I hated. I hated like the operator's fist bumping the fucking machines and stuff. I was just like, Jesus Christ, bro, what the fuck is happening?
Christ.
Oh, dude, like and I hated like they put like the guy in the chair would be appearing in the Matrix, and he'd just be standing there with his fucking stupid headset on, and I'm just like, why is he there? It's like that. I don't need to see it. We always knew that they were kind of watching and monitoring and stuff like that, and sometimes they had them in like earpieces and stuff. But it was like the dude was like there's a whole train scene, and it's like every time the main actress turns around, the operator's just standing there with his stupid fucking blue glasses on and all. I'm just like, this guy's in the real world. Why the fuck is he here? Like, that shit drove me crazy. I hated it so much. It was just such a terrible idea. I hated how they brought in all the robots in the real world were like helping them and stuff. I understand that how it like the story would like go to that because like I think it's like 60 years that Neo's asleep or something. So I understand like there was supposed to be peace, but I just thought it was like it reminded me of Transformers or something. It was just so cheesy. Like Oh, it was just awful. So bad. And like Keanu Reeves looked terrible in the movie as well. He like his fights were awful. Like I love Keanu, I love him to pieces, but he like looked really like shaggy and old and just not giving a fuck. It was like he didn't even want to be there. I didn't even feel that he really wanted to be part of the movie. Like, and Carrie Ann Moss as well. Like I'm sorry, what is she the one now as well? She's fucking flying at the end and everything. I'm like, this is bullshit.
I heard about that.
I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like Neo's the
movies
one.
Ago.
Yeah, Neo's the one. I'm sorry, Neo is the one. And it's like, why is she flying? Like she seemed more powerful than Neo at the end. I'm just like, this is crazy.
And it felt like all Neo was doing towards the end was like doing like the force pushes or whatever, where he's like, woo. And like that's all he did. Like he didn't really use kung fu.
Yeah.
You know, I know Neo really didn't use guns in the second and third movie.
Yeah.
But because he was like reawakening to his powers, I think it would have been cool if, you know, he would have gotten guns and done a little bit of, you know, the gung fu that made the fucking thing so popular in the first place was like gunfight scenes with Neo.
Yeah.
I really hated I loved how they were recreating scenes from the first and throughout the whole trilogy, like redoing the scenes but making them feel a little bit off.
Yeah.
What I hated was them doing the flashbacks to like the previous movies and showing the scene that they were showing. Like if they would have just done it without that, it would have felt better, bro.
Yeah. There was so much explaining in the movie. And I think the magic of the Matrix originally is the fact that you don't know what the fuck is going on. So much of it is down to self-interpretation. But this was just absolutely spoon-fed to me, the entire storyline. They spent so much time explaining everything at that it was just kind of like, you know, I'm not a fucking idiot. I can figure this stuff out. Like, you know, I don't need you to spoon-feed this to me, like, you know. And there
is no spoon.
Yeah, but that just really annoyed me, man, because it's like, you know, like that's the magic of the first movie, and like the whole shit with the Oracle and all. No one knows what the fuck is going on, and then this was just a complete 180 of it. Like it was just, oh man, it drove me crazy. And like I see so many people giving out about like all the like the best parts of the movie was like the reused footage from the original trilogy. Like it's like, like literally like they'll be walking past a wall and you'll see like Neo from the second movie kissing Trinity, like, and it's like, I don't know why it's there. I don't need to see it. I remember the movies. I've seen them so many times. And it was like they were just filling gaps with old footage.
Yeah. Do you think they were talking? Do you think they were talking like in the writing room and they were saying, you know what, this, you know, the last movie hasn't come out in like over a decade, you know, like what do we do? Like, should we explain everything? Like that's what I'm hearing a lot from you guys right now is that they had to explain practically everything as if nobody knew what the previous movies were.
This thing was so fucking meta. Like they were so self-referential. It's like they were talking to the audience directly. There's one part where there's like they're basically telling the audience, Warner Brothers forced us to make this movie. Yeah, we had to do it, or they were going to do it without us. They said that. It's like it was Deadpool, bro. And they were talking right to us.
They fourth wall broke. Like it was crazy.
Oh no!
And it's like we're going back to where it all began, the Matrix. Yeah. And all. It's like, oh no, dude.
Oh, geez.
And then they're treating the script like they know how important this movie was to people, and then it's like they're making fun of you. It's like they're taking shots at you for loving this movie so much. It really felt like that way to me. And I get that they were older, and now I'm more older and cynical. So if I would have made this in my 30s or watched in my 30s, maybe it wouldn't have meant that much to me. But this was, you know, when I was in my late teens and waking up to the ideas of philosophy, and then Matrix comes along and hits you with this idea that like reality around us is just this, you know, simulated construct of the way we want things to be and the things we think the way they were. Like that philosophy blew my mind. That like, you know, everything around us is just created.
Yeah.
For nostalgia purposes to make us feel that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like they get into this one and they just like are almost making fun of you for it meaning that much to you.
Yeah.
Like they have lines like that in the movie, bro. I was like,
remember that shit that we used to eat on the ships and all? And it's like, no, you're like taking away from the magic of everything. Like they make fun of the food that they were eating in the first one because it's like, oh, we can we can produce strawberries and stuff like that now, like using machines. And it's like, oh, bro.
Yeah.
It's just so.
But I hate it. That's so crazy though. Like you would think that they would want to like reignite that feeling of like, are we still within the Matrix kind of situation? Because I remember back then when watching the older movies, like that was a thing that back then, once you watch those movies, you're like anything that seemed weird within your lifestyle was considered a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Because it was so it was such an iconic moment and it made you like think and made you, you know, have these moments of like, am I really just like following along a daily basis, or am I my own person kind of situation? And it sounds to me like they just squash all this. They're just like you said, they're just laughing at you.
They touch on that a little bit, and they have these like really cool moments of philosophy in it that are like really awesome. Like there's this thing where like, you know, the red pill, blue pill is a huge choice thing, like your choice. And they have a line early in the movie that's like, choice doesn't even exist. Choice is an illusion. You already know what you need to do. Like you don't make choices. So that's really poignant and cool. But then they like take shots at like how much the movie meant to people and all that. But oh man,
yeah,
God damn. And the recasting of Morpheus, they totally underused that guy.
Yeah.
That guy is a tremendous actor, and they misused Morpheus so much in this. And Lawrence Fishburne should have been back playing the fucking Naomi role as the leader of the human civilization.
Yeah.
That should have been Lawrence Fishburne's role as an old guy.
Yeah.
That would have meant way more.
Yeah.
Like this is like you have Neo and Trinity coming back, and you don't have them talk to Morpheus. You have them talk to Naomi.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here, bro. Like what was that?
No.
Hell no, dude.
Yeah, no. I don't know. And like the fact that they made like Neo a game developer, and like the original like 3 movies were just games that he made up. So you're like, has he been in the Matrix the whole time? Is he like back in the Matrix, or is he is he losing his mind? Like what was the story with you know, the way they had like, they were showing, I don't know if you noticed this when you were watching it, but they like were showing like reflections off tables and reflections in mirrors and stuff, and he was an old man.
Right.
They never really explained that, did they?
Yeah. That's what I forget what the name they made it for, but that's the way that everyone else saw Neo, is as that old man.
Yeah.
But he sees himself like as Neo, right?
Yeah.
But everyone else sees him as the old man. So that's just them trying to establish the idea. And they have him as this game developer that the first 3 Matrices existed, but he comes on to like, they put him back into the Matrix, and because they make him a game developer, so that you don't really know what's real or not. And if the lie is big enough and in your face, then you believe it. Like, you know, is this thing, the Matrix, real or is it not? It's such a bold idea, and they're putting it inside of Neo's face that it's masking the idea of the Matrix more so than just making him think the world is actually real. They want him to be a little bit thinking he's crazy because did this exist? Did this not exist?
Yeah.
And so I forget the term they used for it, but it was like self-image something.
Yeah.
SMI or SIM or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it didn't really hit well.
The action was terrible. That was the worst part for me. But I said this on Twitter to Flood, who we had on last week's. But like the Matrix redefined action in cinema. Like it completely redefined it. It showed what you could do. It showed you how you could take to the next step. Think outside the box, do stuff like bullet times, invent new technology.
Yeah. And
like this was just, I couldn't follow almost any of the fight scenes. I was lost inside all of them. Yeah. The fight scene with the, like the Merovingi or whatever, the exiles. Ugh.
Yeah,
that was fuck awful. Was that, bro?
And he was just annoying me as well. I was just like, stop talking, like you're annoying me, like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first fight scene was kind of cool, where they were like doing like the backflips through the doors, and it was like, then they were like in the upside down and stuff like that. Like I thought that looked cool, but again, there was like no payoff to it at all. Like it was just kind of senseless CGI, and I think that was that was the kind of main, like the story of most of the movie. It was just senseless CGI. Like, Neil Patrick Harris was good. He should have been Smith. Yeah, I didn't like the whole Smith thing either. Like, and then like Morpheus is Smith at the start of the movie. I'm like, there's like, because he's like credited on IMDb as being Morpheus and Smith. I'm like, what? I'm like, he's Smith. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, did Smith jump around between different vessels or something? Or he was just faking it? I don't know.
So like Morpheus was like a construct that Neo made inside of the Matrix, that the game he programmed or whatever.
Yeah.
He mixed those two characters together subconsciously.
Yeah.
So Morpheus and Agent Smith were one and the same character, which was pretty cool because it gave that actor, like, he didn't just have to do a Morpheus impression. Yeah. Right? Like he could create like a new character, which is pretty interesting. But so you have Morpheus and Agent Smith, and then you have the actual Agent Smith, played by another guy, who's not Agent Smith. It's just fucking weird, man.
Yeah,
it's rough when you can't bring the originals back, because Hugo Weaving was just an iconic character.
Yeah,
like he just it made, like when you saw Smith like Hugo Weaving as Smith, you knew stuff was going down. So like, I'd be hard pressed to see a different Smith. I haven't watched the movie, so like, I don't know.
Smith
The way
didn't really
he
have
says
a big.
Mr. Anderson.
He didn't really have a big part in the movie either. Like Smith, to be fair, like so they kind of just passed over, and like they couldn't even get Hugo back in the MCU. So I don't know what Hugo's story is. Is he not acting anymore? Like what's
He's got big dick energy, baby. He's like,
Yeah,
I
he's
made
like,
my money. Fuck
yeah,
off.
yeah. Leave me alone. I want my
I
own.
was the
life.
Elven King. I was Agent Smith.
Oh,
I was Red Skull.
around
I'm
that
done.
time. Around that time, he was everywhere, and he was fucking fantastic. He's such an amazing actor.
Singular, man.
Yeah. Oh my god, so good, so good. So yeah, it was just I don't know. I just kind of felt like I felt the scenes between Carrie-Anne Moss and like Keanu were just real weird as well. It was just felt so strange, man. I just didn't like it at all. Like I hated everything about it. Even like 10 minutes into the movie, I was kind of like, oh, this is. I've been put off it straight away. Like, you know, it was just. I don't know.
And there wasn't like a larger story. It didn't feel like, you know,
Yeah.
Matrix was always about freeing people and this, you know, battle for humanity or whatever. And
Yeah.
for some reason that they thought peace was people staying in the Matrix and not being freed. And so the humans were just kind of cool with that. And so then the deal is just a love story between Neo and Trinity, which, you know, that was a part of the first three movies. But that was kind of like nestled within this bigger idea of awakening from the Matrix and this war for humanity, beating the robots, where this just evolves into there's Neo and there's Trinity. That's it. We're going back in, grabbing Trinity. That's all that matters.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. I love how they made it out that, like, you know, it's so impossible to get Trinity, and then they just do it so easily as well. You know, it's like we got to go up through all these ducts, and like, you know, we got to go past everybody and do all this stuff, and we got to use some robots. And then it's like they get one of the robots in, and then the main girl in the real world just appears out of nowhere. It's like she just crawls through a fucking tunnel or something. I'm like, what? Oh, is that easy? Okay, cool. I don't know, bro.
Do you think Neo was CGI in the real world? I think he was CGI'd.
I was like where he had like the shaved head and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Because he doesn't have a shaved head in real life.
I know. I was thinking that as well because he didn't cut his hair, especially like because he needs his hair long for John Wick and stuff. So yeah, I was thinking they did something there. I don't know if it was like prosthetics or whatever, like ball caps and stuff like that. But it looked really well. Like it did look like he shaved his head. So,
Yeah. I
And
thought
those
that was,
bald
like, the
caps
most-
are. I was just gonna say those bald caps are like really nice nowadays. Like you can't even tell.
Yeah, like it looked like he had like little stubble and stuff. Like it was very impressive. Because I was thinking that as well. I was like, he didn't. I don't think he shaved his head. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I was wondering like, oh, maybe did he shave his head and then they shot like the very start of the movie, like very early on, and then he grew his hair back or something like that. But I was like, I don't know. Like that would have taken him a year or so to grow his hair back. So I don't think so.
And I just like the scenes with him in the real world are like the most crisp I've ever seen anybody filmed on screen. It was like bizarre, like how good the lighting was on Neo and stuff. I was like, this looks amazing. Like the fidelity of this camera is so damn good. Like the little tiny, like his hair was little lights here. You can see the silver going on.
Yeah.
Like, Keanu doesn't have silver hair. What's going on here?
Yeah, no, it did look
He's not
very
going
well.
gray yet.
It did look very well. Did you?
That's all.
Did you do that?
4 out of 10.
Did you play? I gave it 3. I thought it was awful, dude. It's like the lowest thing I've ever rated on IMDb. 3 out of 10.
Like
Did you play the Unreal 5 demo for Matrix?
No, did you?
no.
No, I've seen footage of it. It looks crazy. It looks so good. I just saw this thing as well today. It was like someone made like a fan film of Knights of the Old Republic using the Unreal 5 engine as well. Like it looked incredible for something that was fan made. Like it just looks so good. Yeah.
So
I think there's a lot of really cool shit coming with that.
So Katie's brother-in-law is a developer for a company, and he knows all about that kind of stuff. I asked him about that Unreal Engine 5 situation, and he said that it's running at 17 frames per second. They just like really polish it up to make it look, you know, seamless. But he said it's a trash fire right now. It just looks okay. but you can still tell it's a game like pretty well. He said Senua's Sacrifice or like Hellblade 2 much better looking than that Matrix one. So if you were to compare the two, like I would like, and I agree like wholeheartedly. I think the Hellblade 2 cinematic was much better looking, but it like the Matrix one looked a little more seamless because of the way that they polished it. So we'll have to see how this all runs in the future, because as of right now, we can't really run that on the graphics cards that we have. Even if we had the 3000 series, like 3090, it's not going to run that kind of stuff. You need like supercomputer based stuff. You need multiple GPUs. You need all that kind of stuff to really like get it running. At best, we're going to have it at lower medium.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Speaking of Unreal Engine, how about Donald Mustard in the fucking movie?
Oh, that pissed me off so much, dude. Saw his specky face. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Just shave the hair, bro.
Yeah.
It goes to us all, okay? No one knows when we're gonna have bad hair in life, but it gets us all. So let's just take it down.
Cut your losses, bro.
Cut your losses. Cut it off. You look handsome still. Got tons of money.
Loads of money.
Well, it's like what you guys, what Hoffman said with Ned. You know, just take the piece off.
Take it
Just
off.
be bald.
It's all right. It looks like he's trying to go to a rave in 1999 with that hair, man. Like I'm just like, dude, this thing doesn't work anymore. It's all right, Donald.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, is Ned gone now? Like, or like, what do you think? Like, does Ned show up for the college years? Like, I would presume him and MJ are going to Boston, though, right?
Oh, with MIT.
He'll be in Boston. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. It's hard because like it's like Peter made the choice to leave the two of them alone in the very end.
Yeah.
He saw they're happy, saw they're peaceful, and he's like, "I'm just gonna leave them be."
Yeah.
You know.
Retcon. Baby.
Yeah. I don't need Ned. I don't need him.
No.
You know, I think he's fun. I can live without him.
Do you know, I saw a breakdown of like their pay, and like I think Tom and Zendaya got like around $5 million each for the movie. Fucking poor Ned got like $400,000.
Oh,
Like, it's amazing money, of course. Like, you know, you'd love it
Yeah.
like yourself, but like, you know, he is one of the top 3 like billable actors in the movie. Like, and he got shafted.
I mean,
Well,
like,
Ned needs a better agent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big time, bro. Big time. Imagine
It's-
like being he was on like a lot of like. Sorry, obviously he wasn't on like the posters and stuff, but he did the press tour. He was in all the interviews. He did everything. He's on screen for so much of the movie, and he has a pivotal part in the movie. He becomes a fucking sorcerer basically in the film. Like, he brings Andrew and Toby in and everything, like, you know, and it's like, dude gets paid like 300 G's. Like, that's like kind of crazy. Crazy, bro. And the movie crosses like nearly 1.1 billion right now, and it's still in the cinema. I'm going to see it like probably before the end of the week again, because I've been in lockdown. I haven't had a chance to go and see it. I'm definitely going to see it again. Like, you know, I'd say it's still going to make money. I think it does another half a billy maybe, like worldwide, before it leaves the cinema.
You just say half a billy.
Yeah.
That's so
Half a
fun the
billy.
way you said that. I said half a billy. I'm like, that's fun, bro.
Yeah. I think it easily does.
Yeah,
Easy.
probably.
Yeah.
I could see that. I know I'm gonna go see it. Like after the New Year's, I'll probably go back out and see some movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's some good stuff coming
For-
up, like, you know. There's just not a lot.
400
not a lot of
grand
Marvel.
though.
Yeah, it might have been 600. It was less. It was absolutely less than $1 million.
Has he been in any other movies besides Spider-Man though? Like Zendaya's, you know, she's like in Dune. She's got the HBO series that's huge.
Yeah.
No, I looked up his IMDb. I didn't really see anything noteworthy. This must be like his debut.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
But I mean, whether it's 400 or 600,000, you know, like after taxes, he could
He's
maybe
losing
get a
half.
nice house. Yeah,
I'd say he's losing like 40% of it. Like the taxes.
40%. Jesus.
Like once
Oh
you
yeah,
get,
in California. Come on, bro.
once you get up to above,
yeah.
you know, 100,000 or whatever, like tax just takes over. You know. So I always think like that, like, you know, like if you ever won a big amount of money, like, or, you know, got a big crypto buyout, like, you're losing half of it to the government. Like, government are taking, like in Ireland, government take 33%. If I was to cash out 100,000 in crypto, like, I'm losing 33 of it. So
Jesus.
so depressing. That's why I'm
Well,
not like,
government, looks like I lost my crypto wallet.
yeah, yeah. Whoops. Oh no, I set up an account in like Barcelona or something. I'm just gonna cash out there. Yeah. All right, guys. Next week, or sorry, still this week, I suppose. Are we gonna do another cast on Friday?
Oh yeah,
I'm down for
Yeah.
it. Bit of Boba
I'll
Fett.
produce
Of course.
the shit out of this.
Yeah.
We'll
Bob-
talk about Boba. We'll do like big rumors going on in the MCU.
Yeah.
We'll get a good 2 hours out of it.
I think so too. Like I can definitely, I think for the last couple of episodes, especially when we've got like movies and content and stuff, like I don't even really need to do anything. I could just come on and talk. Like it doesn't bother me. But I think if we're kind of strapped for content and stuff like that, I'll definitely keep my ear to the ground with like rumors and stuff like that, and we could definitely keep it interesting going
Yeah.
forward.
And I'll make sure to speedrun Mando on the way. So
How many episodes? I think that's like, is it like 26 episodes? Is it like 13 per season? I can't remember. Mando, or was it 10 or something? Or
I think it was like 10, and
yeah.
aren't some kind of shorter too? Like they're not.
There
like,
are, yeah. There's a couple of really short ones. I remember watching them. I was so pissed off watching them. Like just going, can't believe this episode's only like 36 minutes long. I was going crazy. Like, I remember us talking about that before during.
But on
Mando
average,
season.
it'd be
like 40,
on average, it'd be
40
like
episodes at most.
okay.
Yeah, so
That's not too bad.
yeah, I think it'll be easy if you have a bit of downtime. Like you'll fly through the first season, and to be honest, like Mando's like the best thing in my opinion. Mando's the best thing that Star Wars has put out like in years, in a long time.
there's 16 episodes total between 2 seasons.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you're good.
yeah, it's less than 16 hours. Like I think it's probably about 13 hour runtime or something like that. So yeah, I'd be very interested to see, because you haven't watched it. I'd be very interested to see if you bulked it all together, like where you'd be sitting with it, like, how does it rank up to the original trilogy or whatever, because like there's some really cool little nods to the prequels and stuff in there as well. Like you see some of the droids, and you can see half of Anakin's pod racers being used and stuff like that. Like it's really cool. It's really cool. You keep
That sounds
your eye out.
fun.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of cool shit. Like it's really clever. So yeah, guys, I'll see you on Friday. Thank
Yes,
you for being
sir.
here.
All right.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Marvel's chat. Later, everyone.
Later.
Later.
Guys, thank you for hanging out tonight. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you drop a like on the video and subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, turn on those bells. Thank you.